Chapter 2548. Then how did he get here? Xiaoka's face turned even uglier. Only Xiao Qian and the dean knew that she brought back a box of Swiss francs from the practitioner's market. The other workers in the orphanage didn't know about it. So how did Linny know about it? Xiaoka's face darkened even more. Although he had a lot of information channels. Why would Linny pay attention to her if he had nothing to do? Could it be Xiaoka had once suspected that he was interested in her, but Linny denied it, which made Xiaoka feel a little relieved. But no matter what, Xiaoka still felt uneasy. After all, he wasn't someone she had a lot of contact with, and he didn't look like someone who liked to meddle in other people's business. Why would he help her? What reason would he have to help the orphanage? And why would he go to such great lengths? His pharmaceutical company must have invested a lot of money into it, right? And he didn't ask for anything in return. Why? Xiaoka couldn't think of any reason for to do this. What was the value of this orphanage? There were many people who did good deeds. Even if he was doing good, there was no need for him to do this, right? He wasn't doing a good deed anymore. He was doing everything he could. And he suddenly appeared, saying that he was here to help her solve a problem. This made Xiaoka worry even more. If he didn't pay attention to her, how would he know that she needed Swiss francs? It seemed like he had been paying attention to her. Unless he had sent people to follow her and knew that she had been going to the bank and the black market every day to find out how to exchange money. But since he was here, Xiaoka had no reason to reject him. He was here to help her, and no matter what his purpose was, if he could really help her exchange money, it would solve a lot of Xiaoka's problems. I don't know either. Sister Xiaoka, why do you look so pale? Xiao Qian smiled bitterly in his heart. If you knew that big brother is a male thief, I'm afraid you would have already rushed out, right? However, Xiao Qian couldn't get involved in this kind of thing. It's fine, let's go. Xiaoka sighed and left the room with Xiao Qian. Coming to the guest room downstairs, Xiaoka saw drinking tea on the sofa and chatting with the dean of the orphanage. The dean had a smile on her face and nodded from time to time. It seemed like she had a good impression of Linny. Linny, you're here. Xiaoka's attitude wasn't cold, but it wasn't friendly either. Xiaoku, it's very troublesome to exchange those foreign currencies, right? Let me exchange it for you. He said straightforwardly. After coming to the orphanage, he still had to go to school to visit Ziyu and Shenxi, so time was tight. How did you know I had foreign currency to exchange? Xiaoka asked casually. He was about to say that Xiao Qian told him, but he saw Xiao Qian standing behind Xiaoka and giving Linny a look. Linny paused and smiled bitterly. I heard it from someone else. Someone else? Xiaoka frowned. As expected, if he didn't keep an eye on her, how would he know that she needed to exchange foreign currencies? All right, let's not talk about this. I'll make a call first. Linny didn't want to sell Xiao Qian out and change the topic. He took out his phone and called Pengzhan. Linny's actions, on the other hand, looked like a guilty conscience in Xiaoka's eyes. Avoiding the question meant that he was keeping an eye on her and refusing to admit it. Xiaoka didn't know what to do. What should she do? If she rejected he stopped funding the orphanage, what would she do? What would she do if he asked for her money back? Xiaoka fell into a dilemma. She knew that Linny might be interested in her, but she couldn't turn back now. Once she went against it wouldn't just be her problem. It would affect all the children in the orphanage. Did she want all the children to live on the streets? Xiaoka was scared just thinking about it. And so, Xiaoka had no choice but to nod dejectedly. All right, thank you. On the other hand, didn't notice the change in Xiaoka's facial expression. He thought that it was because she couldn't exchange the money out. He didn't think too much about it and turned to Pengzhan after the call connected. Uncle Chu, do you have time now? Now? Yeah, what's up, Pengzhan asked. It's like this, my friend has a lot of Swiss franc that he wants to exchange, but the amount is a bit large. Do you have a way? Linny asked. That's easy. Just ask your friend to come to me directly. But I'm in Songshan right now. Can your friend come over? Pengzhan asked. Uncle Chu, I'm in Songshan right now. I'm in the orphanage, you see. Linny said. All right, I'll ask Faubert to come find you, and he'll help you with the exchange, Pengzhan said. All right. Thank you, Uncle Chu. Lin hung up and turned to Xiaoka. All right, one of my elders will be here soon. He can help with the exchange. Oh, Xiaoka nodded. Although the problem was solved, she couldn't feel happy. She couldn't understand why Lin Yi would help her like this. If he didn't like her, then what was it? But what if Lin Yi liked her? What should she do? She didn't want to do anything to betray the male thief, and she didn't want the orphanage to be destroyed. She was in a dilemma, and naturally, there wasn't any joy in solving the problem. Xiaoka, what's wrong? Why you look so worried? What's the problem? Tell me, and I'll solve it together. Lin Yi, on the other hand, didn't think much of it. Xiaoka did mention this once, but he treated it as a joke and didn't take it to heart. Plus, Lin Yi's other identity was that of male thief, so naturally, he would show more concern for Xiaoka. Xiaoka, on the other hand, didn't think the same. The more Lin Yi treated her well, the more he wanted to help her solve her problems, the more she felt that Lin Yi was doing this for no reason. She said coldly, "No, thank you." Xiaoka, why are you talking to Lin Yi like that? The dean frowned. Chapter 25:49. The dean didn't know about Xiaoka's cunning thoughts, and seeing that her tone wasn't good, she scolded, "Lin Yi is here to help us solve our problem. Why do you have such a gloomy face?" Xiaoka couldn't say it out loud in front of Lin Yi, and she didn't want to tell the dean about it. She was afraid that the dean would be worried. "Lin Yi, the children of the orphanage and I are very grateful for your help. I thank you on behalf of the orphanage for everything you have done for us." Xiaoka said, on behalf of the orphanage, without hesitation. What she meant was that she was thanking him because of the orphanage, and she was only representing the orphanage. It was impossible for her to be thanking him personally. Lin Yi didn't want her to thank him personally. Lin Yi thought that Xiaoka was emotionally unstable because of her period, and he didn't think much about it. He wasn't a male thief anymore, and there was no need for Xiaoka to be nice to him. Lin Yi didn't mind and smiled. "Haha, I was just helping out along the way. It's nothing much." Oh, Xiaoka heard Lin Yi say that, but she didn't really believe it. "Along the way? You came all the way from Donghai to Songshan, and it was just along the way?" Even if Xiaoka was an idiot, she wouldn't believe it, right? Plus, Xiaoka wasn't an idiot. Lin Yi saw that Xiaoka didn't seem to want to talk, so he didn't say anything. Only the headmaster of the orphanage frowned, not knowing what was wrong with Xiaoka today. Usually, when people came to donate, even if it was only 100 or 80 kwai, Xiaoka would welcome them with a smile. But today, Lin Yi was helping her solve such a big problem, and she was like this. After a while, Faubert drove to the orphanage. Faubert was very grateful to Lin Yi now, and if it wasn't for Lin Yi's insistence on treating Faubert like a junior, Faubert would want to talk to Lin Yi as an equal. "Thank you, Uncle Li." Xiaoka knew who Faubert was, but she wasn't too familiar with him. She gave the Swiss francs to Faubert and thanked him politely. Her attitude towards Lin Yi was very different, and it made Lin Yi very puzzled. Why did Xiaoka's attitude change so suddenly? After dealing with the orphanage, Lin Yi didn't stay any longer. He looked at the time, and it wasn't time for Ziyu and Shunshi to finish school yet, so he drove directly to Fatty Lie's medical company. The orphanage and Miracle Dr. Guan's new building weren't far from each other. The two were taken at the same time, and the construction started at the same time. Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company was also in the Guan's medical company. Now, no matter if people mention golden creation or injury medicine, they would first think of Miracle Dr. Guan's products. Dr. Kong was like yesterday's flower, and Dr. Kang's medical company gave up on production. The military products were also stopped because of the weight loss medicine scandal of Dr. Kang's medical company. So Miracle Dr. Kang's medical company had no choice but to shut down after losing all the market. Fortunately, House Kong had a powerful Kong Xiaoming, and they had a good relationship with the hidden House Yu. This way, they could help House Yu sell some low-level pills. These pills had a lot of recognition in the top auction market. For example, a level 1 pill like the Little Rejuvenation Pill. Although it wasn't as effective as the Little Rejuvenation Pill, it was still very effective for normal injuries, especially to speed up the recovery period of patients after surgery. This type of pill was made by the hidden House Yu, and they didn't want to sell it themselves, so they just let House Kong do it for them. Don't look down on these level 1 pills. These things were very valuable. In many cases, a level 1 pill could even be sold at the price of a level 2 pill. The reason was simple. There were a lot of rich people in the common world, but although there was no lack of rich families in the cultivation world, they were all people who knew what was good for them. They wouldn't pay too high a price for these pills. Of course, a large portion of the profits would still be given to the hidden house you, and House Kong would only get a small portion. But even so, the profits from the auction were enough for House Kong to look down on many companies. It wasn't any less than the previous Dr. Kang's medical company. It might even be more. After all, the cost of auctioning pills was very low, much lower than running a company. Lin Yi parked his car in front of the building of the Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. When he walked into the building, he was stopped by the security guard. "Hello, sir. May I know who you were looking for?" Lin Yi smiled. He remembered the first time he came to Songshan and entered Pengzhan Industries. He encountered a similar situation, but this meant that the Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company was much more formal than before. Before, people could enter as they pleased. "Is Kong here?" Lin Yi asked. Fatty Lai went overseas, so he looked for Kong directly. In fact, Lin Yi was also here to see Kong. Ever since graduation, Lin Yi hadn't seen Kong, his best friend, for a long time. Both of them were busy with their own things and didn't have much free time. "You are looking for Vice President Kong. Do you have an appointment?" The security guard heard that Lin Yi was looking for Kong, so he quickly asked, "Appointment?" "No, just inform him," Lin Yi said. "I see. Then how should I address you, sir?" The security guard didn't chase him away directly, so he asked politely. Lin Yi said. "Lin Yi. Okay." The security guard turned around and went to the front desk to inform Kang's secretary, but halfway there, he suddenly realized something. He turned around and looked at Lin Yi in surprise. "You said your name is Lin Yi?" "Yeah." Lin Yi looked at the security guard, confused. He didn't know what was wrong with him. Why did he suddenly turn around and ask about this? "Mr. Lin, please come in." The security guard quickly made a welcoming gesture and said respectfully, "I'll bring you to Vice President Kong." "Oh, okay." Lin Yi was confused. "Why didn't you inform him?" "It's like this. In our security regulations, the first rule is that Mr. Lin and Miracle Dr. Guan can enter the company without notifying anyone. This is a rule set by President Lai," the security guard explained. The guard explained. No wonder he felt that Lin Yi's name was familiar. Luckily, he remembered it now. It wasn't his fault that he was slow. Although he didn't come to the company often, he would come once in a while to discuss the future direction of the company with Fatty Lai. So the security guards all knew him. But Lin Yi was different. This was the first time Lin Yi had appeared since the building was completed, so it was normal that the security guards didn't know him. Chapter 2550. "I see," Lin Yi smiled. He didn't expect Fatty Lai to come up with such a rule. They took the elevator upstairs, and the security guard personally brought Lin Yi to the vice president's office and knocked on the door for Lin Yi. The person who opened the door was a young, beautiful, and arrogant woman with heavy makeup. Lin Yi frowned. Was this Kang's secretary? Huh. Why is it a security guard? What's the matter? Why didn't you call to inform us beforehand? The woman looked at the security guard and Lin Yi and frowned. You knew, right? Don't you know the rules? Secretary Wang, this is Lin Yi, Mr. Lin. Chairman Lai has a rule that allows people to come in without informing us. The security guard explained with a bitter smile. Chairman Lai said to look for Chairman Lai. This is Vice President Kang's office. The woman was obviously unhappy with the security guard using Chairman Lai's name to suppress people. This surprised Lin Yi. How could this woman be so daring? Could it be that he really had an unclear relationship with Kong? Otherwise, how could she be so arrogant? As if she was the general manager? Lil Wang, what's going on? Kang's voice came from the office. Vice President Kong. Someone said that Chairman Lai personally approved him to enter the company at any time. The woman said directly. She didn't seem to have any respect for Kong. This made Lin even more suspicious. Oh, Kong was slightly surprised. He walked out of the office and saw Lin Yi. The doubt in his heart immediately turned into surprise. He quickly ran over and held Lin Yi's hand. He said excitedly, Boss, you're here. I didn't expect this. Please come in. Lil Wong, there's nothing else for you to do. You can go now. Oh. The woman nodded and really went into the secretary's office. Lin Yi took a look and saw that the woman's computer was actually playing Plants vs. Zombies. It was even more strange. Usually, a secretary would take the initiative to serve tea when the boss had a guest. This woman, on the other hand, went back to play the game. The security guard wiped the sweat on his forehead and said to Kong, "Vice President Kong, I'll go back first." "Okay, thank you." Kong nodded and said to the security guard, "Are you used to working here?" Linny looked at Kang's attire. It had only been a few months, and Kong was looking more and more like a successful businessman now. He didn't look like a student at all, and he was quite gratified by this. It seemed like Kong had chosen the right path back then. "It's not bad. President Lai often travels, so I'm in charge of the company. Although it's busy, it's fulfilling. Boss, thank you for giving me this opportunity," Kong said sincerely. Let's talk inside." Linny pointed inside the office and said, "Okay, you see, I forgot. Please come in." Kong quickly invited Lin Yi into the office and let Lin Yi sit on the sofa. Then, she turned around and poured water for Lin Yi. This action made Lin Yi even more puzzled. What exactly did a secretary do? How's Xiao Fun? Lin Yi couldn't ask directly. Although the relationship between the two was very good, it was too abrupt to ask about the relationship between Kong and the female secretary when they just met. So, Lin Yi changed the way he asked. "She's good." Kong Ming placed the tea in front of Lin Yi and said, "President Lai also built a high-end community nearby as a staff welfare house. The internal price is relatively low. Xiao Fun and I also bought a set, and we're already living together. We're going to hold a banquet next year, and when we're of age, we'll register our marriage." Oh, Linny nodded. It seemed that the relationship between the two was not bad, but this female secretary. Linny thought about it and said, "Other than Xiao Fun, you didn't flirt with other women, right? You also know that in your position." It wasn't that Lin Yi was too controlling. If Xiao Fun didn't have any opinion, it was their business if Kong wanted to find a lover. Lin Yi really didn't have any opinion. After all, this was other people's housework. But if you want to find someone, you should find a decent one, right? The beauty of the one just now could only be said to be average, and the makeup was really unflattering. This was a company, not a theatrical troupe, and the makeup was really terrible. Moreover, this person's arrogant temper and character also made Lin Yi very dissatisfied. "Boss, what are you talking about? My relationship with Xiao Fan is very good. How can I find someone else?" Kong was stunned. He didn't expect Lin Yi to suddenly mention this problem. "To be honest, boss, if it wasn't for your help, I would still be a loser. How could I become the vice president? Xiao Fan also followed me from that time. I can't abandon her just because I became rich, right? And Xiao Fan is also very powerful now. She even got a CPA, and now she's the company's deputy finance director. If I don't keep a close eye on her, there will be a lot of people pursuing her." Linny nodded and was relieved. Kang's sincerity didn't seem to be a lie, but Lin Yi was even more puzzled, so he couldn't help but say, "Your secretary." After Kong listened to Lin Yi's words, he was stunned at first, and then he understood Lin Yi's meaning. Lin Yi's previous words were probably directed at the female secretary. The female secretary's attitude and way of doing things made Lin Yi think too much. However, Kong did have something difficult to say. He hesitated and smiled bitterly. She is a backdoor entrant." "What? Backdoor entrant?" Lin Yi was stunned, and then he finally understood why this woman was so badass. It turned out to be a backdoor entrant. However, Lin Yi was puzzled immediately. How big of a backdoor entrant did she have to be able to make her not even put Kong, the vice president, in her eyes? "Yeah, she's a backdoor entrant. I can't do anything about it, so I arranged her here to gain experience." Kong shook his head helplessly. "Whose backdoor entrant is so powerful?" Linny asked. "Even a vice president like you can't order her around?" This, Kong really couldn't say. This backdoor entrant was arranged by Tang Yun's mother, Wang Yujia. It was a relative of Tang Yun's mother. At that time, with Mrs. Tang's vanity, she bragged in front of her relative that the boss behind the company was her son-in-law. Since this relative was also a vain person, she thought that she was also a relative of the boss behind the scenes, so she looked down on everyone in the company, and even Fatty Lai didn't give a damn. However, Kong couldn't say anything about Tang Yin. This was something Meng Yao and Yushu specifically told him to do. Fortunately, this female secretary didn't know Lin Yi's name, and Mrs. Tang didn't say anything, otherwise it might really be exposed. What's wrong? Can't say. Lin Yi frowned. Chapter 25:51. This, I'm not too sure. It was arranged by Mr. Lai. Kong stuttered. Fatty Lai? Lin Yi was curious. Fatty Lai didn't seem like the type to abuse his power for personal gain. Even if she was his relative, he didn't have to do this, did he? Shaking his head, he said, forget it. Tell Fatty Lai that even if she's a backdoor entrant, put her in a department without a job. This company doesn't need her alone, but forget about the secretary. She's not a secretary. She's more like a manager. This, I'll tell him. Kong smiled bitterly and nodded. Lin Yi didn't dwell on this issue. Since this woman wasn't Kang's lover, it didn't matter. Lin Yi didn't bother with her. The company was so big that it was inevitable to have connections. Fatty Lai wasn't a saint. He couldn't just ignore his friends and family. Lin Yi understood. Let's not talk about this. If there's a chance in the future, let's go to Donghai and have a meal together. Lin Yi said, yeah, I want to go too, but the company's business is expanding rapidly these days. I don't have any time at all. Kong smiled bitterly, but it'll get better after a while. The phone on Kang's desk rang as they were conversing. Kong picked it up and said a few words before turning to Lin Yi apologetically. I'm sorry, boss. Something came up again. There's a client here, inviting me over for tea. Go ahead. You're also working for me. Why would I mind? Lin Yi smiled. I don't have anything to do. I just came to see you on the way. All right, I'll go to Donghai when I'm done here, boss. Kong nodded. Lin Yi and Kong left the company together and separated at the parking lot. Lin Yi looked at the time. There was still some time before school ended, so he drove back to his villa. It had been a while since he went back, and Lin Yi wanted to clean up a bit. It was almost winter break, and Meng Yao and Yushu would probably go back to Songshan. After all, they'd lived here for more than 10 years, and a change of environment wasn't something they could adapt to so quickly. In a high-class room in Songshan's Starlight Hotel sat the hidden Zhuang Niaoqiang and Zhuang Niapeo. Brother, did you see it clearly? That girl beside Ziyu. She's a good furnace? Zhuang Niapeo's eyes flashed with shock and greed. That's right, it's definitely true. Niaoqiang nodded. I didn't think that we'd get such an unexpected reward this time. The two brothers came to Songshan this time because of House Chen's invitation. Chun Xiaoba had his eyes on Ziyu and wanted to take her back as his wife, but Sihua was controlling him. Xiaoba wasn't satisfied with that, so he called the two brothers from the hidden Zhuang house over to take care of things. No matter how strong Li Sihua was, he was just a dog of House Xiao. The Zhuang brothers were different, however. They had the lowest salary in House Zhuang, second only to the big brother, Zhuang Niadeo. Plus, Zhuang Niadeo was the future head of the house in name, in charge of everything in House Zhuang. To put it bluntly, Zhuang Niaoqiang and Zhuang Niapeo were more important to the hidden house. Zhuang Niadeo wasn't suited for practicing, so he gave it up and went to Donghai Engineering University to study business management. It was actually managing the house as well. Zhuang Niaoqiang and Zhuang Niapeo, on the other hand, trained in combination techniques. Both of them were Earth-class early-phase peak, but their combination attacks could defeat Earth-class mid-phase, even mid-phase peak. Even late-phase Earth-class masters wouldn't be a problem for them. This was also why they dared to say that they were invincible under Sky class at the Hidden House Summit. They were indeed very strong. This time, they came to help Chun Xiaoba. On one hand, the two brothers wanted to thank the Chun family for their contributions to the hidden Zhuang family. On the other hand, they wanted to come out and relax. Previously, during the Hidden Family Summit, the two brothers were too depressed. They wanted to show off their skills, but in the end, they didn't even dare to fight and left the stage. But now that they thought about it, not fighting Lin Yi was the best decision they'd ever made in their lifetimes. If they really did fight Lin Yi, they'd either be crippled or dead. There was no third possibility. In this period of time, House Shuang had received a lot of news about Lin Yi. Lin Yi had injured the Sky class of the Hidden House Yu and crippled the Earth class late phase peak of the Hidden House Shuang. This news touched the nerves of the Hidden House Shuang. Luckily, it didn't go against Lin Yi, or else they wouldn't even know how they died. House Shuang was different from the other hidden houses. Elder Zhuang was only an Earth class late phase peak, and he couldn't even take one move from Lin Yi. If he went against Lin Yi, he'd be a cripple. So sometimes Zhuang Niapeo and Zhuang Niaoqiang would think that if they didn't get close to Zhang Naipeo and Lin Yi during the Ice Palace test, they wouldn't have to be so careful now. With the protection of a god like Lin Yi, House Shuang didn't have to worry about the other hidden houses harming them. Even though they invited the two brothers to help Chun Xiaoba, Zhuang Niaoqiang and Zhuang Niapeo didn't want to fight with House Xiao head-on. They wanted to kidnap House Xiao. The reason was that House Xiao had Sky-class masters, but House Shuang didn't. They had to be careful, but with Lin Yi's protection, things were different. House Han was so weak in the past, but now in Donghai City, House Xiao had no choice but to lower their head. How powerful was that? Of course, everyone knew that this was a fox borrowing the tiger's power. It was all because of Lin Yi, but they were hugging onto Lin Yi's thigh, and no one could do anything about it. House Zhao dared to provoke House Han. If they provoked Lin Yi, then their whole family would be done for. But House Shuang wanted to go to Lin Yi's side, but they couldn't. They didn't have the opportunity. If they went to Lin Yi and made him their boss, then Lin Yi would think that they had ulterior motives. He might not even accept them. Thus, the hidden Zhuang family was stuck between a rock and a hard place. In the past, the hidden Zhao family and the hidden Han family were at the bottom. After all, the hidden Zhao family didn't have a heaven rank expert. But it was different now. The hidden Zhao family also had a heaven rank expert. Chapter 2552. This time, when Zhuang Niaoqiang went out to investigate, he found out that Ziyu's Chun, she was a good cultivation vessel. Even Lin Yi didn't notice this point, but Zhuang Niaoqiang did. This had to do with the combination practitioner's arts and practitioner's arts. The arts and practitioner's arts were all about the combination of qi, and so there was the issue of the cauldron. I wonder what level this cultivation vessel is at. If Grandpa absorbs her qi, will he be able to break through to Sky class? Zhuang Niapeo sighed. Plus, is this Chun Shi a natural cultivation vessel? Or was she someone else's? We need to be clear about this. We don't want to make enemies. Let's do it secretly, no one knows. Even if she's someone else's, we can't let go of this opportunity. Zhuang Niaoqiang said, if Grandpa becomes Sky class, how much benefit would it bring to the house? Look at the hidden house Zhao. Isn't Elder Zhao so strong after becoming Sky class? That's true. Zhuang Niapeo nodded. Then second bro, can you tell Grandpa? Okay, I'll call Grandpa now. Zhuang Niapeo said. He and Zhuang Niapeo didn't think about using this cultivation vessel, since it could only be used by one person. If one of them used it, their strength would explode, and that would cause problems with the practitioner's arts and practitioner's arts. Both of them had to be around the same level to use the technique, and if one of them was too strong, it would cause problems. Zhuang Niapeo and Elder Zhuang had been plotting for a long time, and they came to the same conclusion. This was what they had to do. With Elder Zhuang's nod, Zhuang Niapeo and Zhuang Niapeo made their move. Of course, they didn't tell Chun Xiaoba about Chun Shi being a cultivation vessel. Xiaoba, I think the girl beside Ziyu isn't bad too. She's fresh and pretty too. If you want Ziyu, that girl will belong to us brothers. What do you think? Zhuang Niapeo asked. Of course, it's not a problem. Even if you let Gunslinger enjoy both of them first, it's not a problem. Qin Xiaoba's heart was bleeding when he said this. He had no other choice but to please the two Zhuo brothers. Oh, we don't want a girl you like. Us brothers naturally wouldn't do such a thing. Zhuang Niaoqiang waved his hand and shook his head. We just want the other one. Hee. Then this little brother will thank you. Qin Xiaoba felt relieved and said gratefully, these two brothers of the Zhuang family are really not bad. All right, let's move now. Isn't it just a kidnapping? You're the son of an underworld boss, and you're not good enough. You still need us two brothers to do it. It's really useless. Zhuang Niapeo said. Haha, isn't this Tsihua Li's territory? I don't have much confidence, but with Gun Bro and Gunslinger, there won't be any problems. Chun Xiaoba smiled as he opened the car door and invited Zhuang Niapeo and Zhuang Niaoqiang into his Mercedes-Benz MPV. He then started the car and drove towards Songshan's first high. At this time, Songshan's first school wasn't out yet, so there weren't many cars in front of the school. Chun Xiaoba parked the car in front of the school and went to the guard as promised. Uncle, I'm Ziyu's brother from your school's fifth. Can you please call her out? Tell her there's some trouble at home, and it's best if she can bring a friend to help. Chun Xiaoba was dressed like a dog today, looking like a successful, sunny, and handsome man. The guard didn't have his guard up, thinking that Chun Xiaoba really was Ziyu's brother. He nodded quickly. All right, I'll call her right now. As the guard spoke, he picked up the phone in the guard room and dialed the number of grade 1 class 5's homeroom teacher. He then explained the situation at the school gate to her. Ziyu and Chun Shi were people that the principal Ding Binggong personally told them about. So naturally, the homeroom teacher didn't dare neglect them. Hearing that something happened at home, she quickly told Ziyu. Ziyu thought that it was Lin Yi when she heard that her brother was looking for her. She was happy and worried at the same time. Lin Yi said something happened at home? So what exactly happened? And so, Ziyu quickly pulled Chun Shi and ran out of the school. Chun Xiaoba, on the other hand, was already hiding in the MPV, afraid that Ziyu and Chun Shi would see him like this. The reason why he said he was Ziyu's brother was because Tsihua said that Ziyu had a brother, and they talked to each other before, so he pretended to be Ziyu's brother. This way, Ziyu wouldn't suspect anything. Uncle, where's my brother? Ziyu pulled Chun Shi to the school gates, but didn't see Lin Yi. She asked the guard, Oh, your brother, he was here just now? Maybe he got in a car already. It's pretty cold today. The guard didn't think much about it and pointed at the car. All right, thank you, Uncle. Ziyu brought Chun Shi to the car, and because she was in a rush, she didn't think too much and didn't put up any defenses. She was just about to knock on the door when it opened, and Zhuang Niaoqiang struck out with his hand, knocking both Ziyu and Chun Shi out before they could react. Zhuang Niapeo helped to push the two of them into the back seat of the MPV and quickly drove away from the scene. All of this happened in a few seconds. Zhuang Niaoqiang and Zhuang Niapeo were practitioners, and even if Ziyu was a delinquent girl, she wouldn't be a match for them. The guard didn't see this scene, but this scene happened to be seen by Boss Zhu, who wasn't far away. Boss Zhu's mission was to watch and protect Chun Shi, and he would pretend to be a scavenger around the school every day to protect Chun Shi too and from school. When he saw Zhuang Niaoqiang and Zhuang Niapeo drag Chun Shi into the car, he panicked, but he didn't dare chase after them. Other people might not know Zhuang Niaoqiang and Zhuang Niapeo, but he did. He knew what the disciples of the hidden houses looked like, and he wanted to avoid conflict with them. Boss Zhu also knew how strong these two were. They were both Earth-class early phase peak, so Boss Zhu didn't dare to act rashly. Chapter 2553. Also, he couldn't say the hidden Zhao family's name because Boss Zhu wasn't stupid. Zhuang Niaoqiang and Zhuang Niapeo kidnapped Chun Shi. They obviously found out the secret of Chun Shi's body. If he foolishly rushed up and said his name, he was afraid that he would be killed. The two brothers of the hidden Zhuang family would definitely feel that their plan was exposed. Since they couldn't do anything, they could kill Boss Zhu, but if they really let Chun Shi go, then they would offend the hidden Zhao family. After pondering for a moment, Boss Zhu chased after them, but he took out a super broken phone and dialed Lin Yi's number. Although he was a subordinate of the hidden Zhao family, he was now Lin Yi's lackey. Although the hidden Zhao family was powerful, it wasn't as powerful as Lin Yi. Now that he had established a partnership with Lin Yi, the first thing that Boss Zhu naturally wanted to do was to find Lin Yi and let Lin Yi solve this problem. And this problem, only Lin Yi could solve it. Lin Yi hadn't even driven to the villa when the phone rang. Lin Yi picked up the phone. Hello, I'm Lin. Mr. Lin? I'm Boss Zhu. Boss Zhu said quickly while running. Chapter 2554. Therefore, Lin Yi wasn't in a hurry to let Zhu Lao to make a move. Anyway, with Zhu Lao to following him, there wouldn't be any problems. I understand. Zhu Lao was actually a ruthless person, but he couldn't be ruthless in front of Lin Yi. Previously, he poisoned Chun Shi's mother and wanted to kill her, which also showed that he was a ruthless person. Lin Yi continued on the highway towards Lin City. Lin City was an abbreviation. The full name of Lin City was Shanlin City. In fact, it meant the city next to Songsan. It was a small county-level city that developed later, so everyone was used to calling it Lin City. Out of the city center, there were fewer cars, and Lin Yi's speed instantly increased. Soon, he was on the highway, heading towards Lin City. Because he had confirmed the identity of the hidden Zhuang brothers, Lin Yi wasn't in a hurry. Since the two of them were in a hurry to go home, they definitely wouldn't harm Chun Shi on the way home. Lin Yi only needed to catch up before they reached home. Finally, on the highway, Lin Yi saw the Mercedes-Benz Viano MPV with the license plate 4321. It seemed like Zhu Lao Da's judgment was right. Lin Yi also slowed down and slowly followed behind the car. Lin Yi didn't want to stop the car in front. Zhuang Niaqiang and Zhuang Niapeo were Earth-rank warriors. Even if the car flipped over, they wouldn't be in trouble. But Chun Shi definitely couldn't, so Lin Yi wouldn't do anything dangerous for the time being. However, although Zhuang Niaqiang and Zhuang Niapeo were arrogant, they weren't idiots. There weren't many cars on the highway, and Lin Yi's car had been following behind the Mercedes-Benz MPV. So Zhuang Niapeo, who was driving, quickly realized something was wrong. Looking at the Grand Cherokee in the rearview mirror, Zhuang Niapeo said, "Niapeo, the Grand Cherokee behind us seems to be following us." Oh! Zhuang Niapeo turned his head and looked behind the window. Sure enough, there was a Grand Cherokee not far away. But he wasn't worried and said, "It can't be, right? This is a highway, so it's normal for there to be cars behind us. Maybe they're traveling at the same speed as us? Can it be exactly the same?" Zhuang Niaoqiang shook his head and said, "I will try to speed up." Previously, Zhuang Niaoqiang did not exceed the speed limit and only maintained a normal driving speed. After all, the two of them were not professional drivers and did not usually drive, so their driving skills were not too good. Zhuang Niaoqiang increased his speed. Lin Yi didn't intend to hide at all. He had already chased them all the way here. As long as they left the highway, Lin Yi was prepared to take down Zhuang Niaoqiang and Zhuang Niapeo. So when Zhuang Niaoqiang increased his speed, Lin Yi also increased his speed. He really did catch up. Zhuang Niapeo's face did not look good. Where did this car come from? It didn't appear before. It only appeared on the highway. That's not it. There were a lot of cars on the road, so we didn't notice it. Now that there are fewer cars on the highway, we saw it immediately. Zhuang Niaoqiang said, "If it's a blessing, then it's not a curse. If it's a curse, then we can't avoid it. Let's stop the car and take a look." Zhuang Niapeo nodded in agreement. If the people behind had bad intentions, then they wouldn't be able to avoid it. So stopping the car and taking care of it as soon as possible was the right thing to do. As long as it wasn't an expert, Zhuang Niaoqiang and Zhuang Niapeo working together shouldn't be a problem. The key was that they were afraid that the car behind them would suddenly drive over and force them to stop. Zhuang Niaoqiang's driving skills were very average. If he lost control and the car flipped over, they would be fine, but Chun Shi would be in danger. They didn't want to destroy this rare furnace. Thus, Zhuang Niaoqiang began to slow down. The car quickly stopped at the highway's emergency parking lane, and Lin Yi also stopped the car. Zhuang Niaoqiang and Zhuang Niapeo wanted to take care of it as soon as possible, so they didn't hold back. They directly got off the car and walked towards Lin Yi's Grand Cherokee. Lin Yi looked at the two aggressive brothers and sneered in his heart. He also opened the car door and got off. Huh. Zhuang Niaoqiang and Zhuang Niapeo saw the person who got off the Grand Cherokee and subconsciously stopped. Their faces showed a shocked expression and they wanted to turn around and run. They didn't know how they offended Lin Yi, but if Lin Yi caught up to them, it definitely wouldn't be a good thing. However, running away was just a dream. They hadn't even run yet, and they had already turned around. Thinking about Lin Yi's illustrious reputation, could they outrun Lin Yi? Lin Yi was a master who could even kill a heaven-class master in one hit. Wouldn't dealing with two normal Earth-class masters be a piece of cake? Master Ling. Hello. Long time no see, huh? Zhuang Niaoqiang wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and said incoherently, Yeah, Master Ling, what a coincidence. I didn't think we would meet here. Zhuang Niapeo also laughed dryly, but his smile was very ugly. What a coincidence. I purposely followed you guys. Lin, he said lightly. Followed. Zhuang Niaoqiang's face suddenly changed. He couldn't help but shiver and asked carefully, Master Ling, I don't know how we brothers offended Master Ling. The girl in your car is my god sister. Lin, he pointed at the Mercedes MPV and said, What? God sister? Zhuang Niapeo almost fainted. He had tried to guess She's background, but no matter how much he guessed, he could only think that she was raised by some hidden house. She couldn't be any stronger, so they decided to do this. Once Elder Zhuang reached heaven class, the other hidden houses wouldn't be able to do anything. It was just like the hidden house. Zhao swallowed the hidden house, used qi gathering pill. But now, they heard that she was Lin Yi's god sister. This was too scary. Yeah, god sister. You know what I mean. Lin Yi smiled. Oh my god. This time it was Zhuang Niapeo's turn to faint. He was very scared. Luckily Lin Yi caught up halfway. If he really brought Shi home and Grandpa used her, then wouldn't Lin Yi destroy the hidden house Zhuang? Not to mention his grandfather, who had just advanced to heaven rank. Even the famous heaven rank expert of the Hidden Yu family was crippled by Lin Yi. Moreover, Lin Yi only used one move at that time, so he didn't have any killing intent. Otherwise, he would have died without a doubt. Master Ling, I'm sorry. We didn't know she was your sister. If we knew, we wouldn't dare even if we had the guts. Zhuang Niapeo took a deep breath and decided to tell the truth. He didn't want to hide anything. After all, lying to Lin Yi at this time was basically asking for death. Lin Yi wasn't stupid, so how could he be easily tricked? Chapter 2555. Although he didn't manage to kidnap Shi this time, there was a saying, lose at the swings, gain at the mulberry. From Zhuang Niaoqiang's point of view, there was no irreconcilable enmity between the hidden Zhuang family and Lin Yi. If he lowered his stance and admitted his mistake, he could build a relationship with Lin Yi and let Lin Yi become the hidden Zhuang family's backer. That would be much more beneficial than his grandfather becoming a heaven-tier expert. The Han family didn't have a heaven-tier expert, but they were able to fight against the hidden Zhao family. Why? Wasn't it because of Lin Yi? Shi, is she all right? Lin Yi nodded. Zhuang Niaoqiang didn't lie, and his attitude wasn't bad. So Lin Yi didn't immediately make things difficult for him. She's fine, Master Ling. I'm sorry, this matter is our fault. Zhuang Niaoqiang said, Please give us some face and visit the hidden Zhuang family. Our hidden Zhuang family will definitely show our sincerity and satisfy Master Ling. Go to your house. Lin Yi frowned. Zhuang Niaoqiang's change of attitude was a bit too fast. Lin Yi wasn't used to it. Yes, go my house. Zhuang Niaoqiang nodded and said, Master Ling, I know you're angry, but this is how the world is. The weak are prey to the strong. This time, Shi has Master Ling's backing. Our hidden Zhuang family will admit defeat and only hope for Master Ling's forgiveness. But in other words, if we kidnapped someone unrelated to Master Ling, would Master Ling care? Oh, Lin Yi had to admit that Zhuang Niaoqiang was right. If the person they kidnapped was someone Lin Yi didn't know, then Lin Yi naturally wouldn't care. Therefore, Zhuang Niaoqiang couldn't say that what Zhuang Niaoqiang did was wrong. It was just like how Lin Yi knew that the Tagan family had a profound qi necklace and wanted to steal it. If Lin Yi wasn't as strong as Tagan Dragon, then Lin Yi definitely wouldn't have succeeded. Instead, he would have lost the 2 Spirit Beast cores. However, if Lin Yi was stronger than Tagan Dragon, the outcome would be completely different. Master Ling, don't worry, we won't do anything to Shi anymore. Not only will we not do anything to her, we will also protect her. After all, Songsan City is very close to the neighboring city. As long as Master Ling agrees, we will send people to Songsan City. Even if Li Si hides in House Zhao, they wouldn't dare to make a fart. Oh, Lin, he squinted his eyes and looked at Zhuang Niaoqiang in surprise. If Zhuang Niaoqiang said that evil wanted to please Lin Yi, then it would be normal. But why did it sound like he wanted to help Lin Yi? Moreover, Zhuang Niaoqiang seemed to have Lin Yi backing him up from behind the scenes to deal with the hidden house Zhao and Sihua. Was Zhuang Niaoqiang just saying it casually, or did he have other intentions? Seeing that Lin Yi was thinking, Zhuang Niaoqiang didn't dare disturb him. He stood at the side respectfully, waiting for Lin Yi's answer. Master Ling, although our hidden house Shuang isn't as good as the hidden house Pai, with sky-class masters, our hidden house Shuang is still a bit stronger than the hidden house Han. For example, Chimin Dunjia. Zhuang Niaoqiang saw that Lin Yi was hesitating. He and his second brother Zhuang Niaoqiang had been working together for many years, so their minds were connected. He immediately understood what his second brother meant. He wanted to get closer to Lin Yi, and this was actually Zhuang Niaoqiang's idea as well. He missed the opportunity back then, and now that he had such a good opportunity, he would regret it if he didn't cherish it. That's right, look at Chun Shi. No one can tell that she's a good furnace. Master Ling, you're so awesome. You can even kill a heaven stage expert in a second, but in these unorthodox ways, you still can't compare to us, right? Zhuang Niaoqiang continued. If no one told you that Chun Shi was a furnace, would you have been able to guess? Oh, that's true. Lin Yi nodded. Then it seems like the hidden house Shuang has some use. But how do you know about House Pai? Zhuang Niaoqiang's heart skipped a beat, but he still spoke the truth. Master Ling, I won't hide it from you. Actually, after the Hidden Noble House Summit ended, we were a bit envious of the Hidden House Han, and so we paid attention to your matters. The more we paid attention, the more we regretted it. If we could choose again during the Ice Palace test, we wouldn't have called Zhang Naipeo boss, but you. Yeah, Master Ling, us two brothers have been looking for a chance to defect, but we didn't have the right opportunity. Haha, I didn't think that bad things would turn into good things. Zhuang Niaoqiang quickly said. If that's the case, then let's go to your house and have a look. Lin Yi nodded and said faintly. He didn't promise anything, but he didn't reject either. This already made Zhuang Niaoqiang and Zhuang Niapeo very happy. Lin Yi didn't continue to make things difficult for them, but chose to go to their house as a guest. This meant that Lin Yi already had the intention to accept them. So Zhuang Niaoqiang immediately said, Niapeo, you take Master Ling's car. I'll lead the way. Chun Shi? Lin Yi pointed at Zhuang Niaoqiang's car and asked. Chun Shi, she's fine. Don't worry, Master Ling, Zhuang Niaoqiang said. She just fainted. Normally she'll wake up in a few hours. All right, Lin Yi nodded, but don't call me Master Ling. You guys know my real name. All right, we'll be like Han Xiaopa and call you boss. Zhuang Niaoqiang smiled and said. Lin Yi smiled faintly and didn't refuse. As for the hidden Zhuang family, if they really wanted to defect, then Lin Yi had no reason to push them out. Also, Lin Yi was currently making arrangements. It could be said that the aristocratic families were basically under Lin Yi's control. Next would be the hidden aristocratic families in normal sections. Only by controlling the hidden aristocratic families in normal sects would Lin Yi be able to face a higher level. These hidden houses and normal sects weren't anything special on their own, but if they were stacked together, their power would be terrifying. At the very least, they would be equivalent to the weakest ancient sect. With these resources, Lin Yi would be able to talk to the ancient powers officially, and he wouldn't be in as much of a mess as before. Of course, the most important thing was that Lin Yi had to deal with these hidden aristocratic families. Only then would Lin Yi be able to focus on breaking through to the ancient level. The ancient level wasn't Lin Yi's final goal. Lin Yi's current goal was to stand higher. The two cars drove towards a neighboring city one after the other. At this time, Boss Zhu also sent good news. Chapter 2556. She must have been tricked, and the person who called her out wasn't Lin Yi. The only person she'd been messing with lately was Chun Xiaoba. and the answer was obvious. Ziyu crept up from the bed and walked to the washroom. The door wasn't locked, and Chun Xiaoba didn't even want to lock the door when he showered. Ziyu could vaguely make out the face of the person inside from the crack. It really was Chun Xiaoba. Ziyu's eyes flashed with fierceness. She was a fierce person in the first place, and she didn't even bat an eyelid when she used to chop people up with a knife. She learned her lesson now, and it was all because of Lin Yi. But that didn't change the fierceness in her bones. Chun Xiaoba still dared to kidnap her after being warned by Zihua. How dare he? Ziyu had always been a fearless person, and with Lin Yi backing her up, she was even more fearless. Since Chun Xiaoba wasn't being nice, then Ziyu couldn't be blamed for that. Ziyu went back to her room and fell back on the bed, pretending to be unconscious as she waited for Chun Xiaoba. Chun Xiaoba hummed a tune as he took a bubble bath, feeling extremely refreshed. He was about to enjoy a beauty, and he thought to himself, "What's wrong with you, Zihua? You think you're strong? How dare you ruin his plans?" If he couldn't do it in the open, he'd do it in the dark. They were all in the underworld anyway, so he'd just have to suffer in silence. After showering, Chun Xiaoba put on his robe and walked out of the washroom. He saw Ziyu lying on the bed, her body wrapped in tight, leather clothing. He couldn't stop drooling as he walked over with a smile. Hee, little girl, you still can't escape from me, can you? Zihua, what's so great about you? What can you do when I'm playing dirty? Chun Xiaoba mumbled to himself, ready to rip Ziyu's clothes to shreds when something happened. Ziyu, who was unconscious on the bed, jumped up all of a sudden and sent a kick at Chun Xiaoba's pillar, supporting the heavens. Ziyu had used all her strength in that kick, and Chun Xiaoba wasn't prepared for it, either. He was kicked right in the face by Ziyu. Pa! Chun Xiaoba let out a blood-curdling howl. That howl was even more horrifying than being tortured by the Manchurian Qing dynasty. His howl was extremely miserable. Chun Xiaoba's eyes and mouth were wide open as he knelt on the ground, his face deathly pale, crying for his father and mother. Boss Zhu has been squatting on the air conditioner outside the hotel window like a Spider-Man. He was an old man with a dark heart, and he wanted to see how Ziyu would deal with Chun Xiaoba. If Ziyu was in danger, he'd be the first to step in. If she wasn't, he'd let Ziyu do her thing. Boss Zhu was on Lin Yi's side now, and Ziyu would be happy if she was happy. Boss Zhu's mouth twitched at the sight of Chun Xiaoba's state. He'd cripple Chun Xiaoba with one slap, and that would be worse than this. He'd probably be in a vegetative state for the rest of his life, but he wouldn't be in this much pain. Chun Xiaoba, how dare you? Why don't you ask who I am? My brother is Lin Yi. Ziyu pointed at Chun Xiaoba arrogantly and roared. Chun Xiaoba really didn't know who Lin Yi was, after all. Zihua wouldn't have had to use so much effort to hint him. He could have just said Lin Yi's name. Chun Xiaoba's level was too low, and he didn't know how famous Lin Yi was. Boss Zhu's face changed. He had a phobia of Lin Yi right now, and if Ziyu were to shout this in front of the Hidden House's disciples, or even the head of the house, no one would dare mess with her. This time, Chen Boang also came. Just now, he was the one who personally drove the car to greet Chun Xiaoba. However, he was a bit depressed. Originally, he wanted to take this opportunity to build a good relationship with the two brothers of the Zhuang family and treat them to a meal. But he didn't expect that the two brothers of the Zhuang family would drive away, making Chun Boang's trip a waste. But since he was here, Chun Boang wasn't in a rush to go back. He waited in the room next door for Chun Xiaoba to finish playing with Chun Shi, and then they'd go back together. Chun Boang was resting when a heart-wrenching scream came from the room next door, scaring him. Wasn't that his son, Chun Xiaoba's voice? Chun Boang immediately became anxious. He got up from the bed and ran out of the room. He kicked open the door of the next room and saw his son rolling on the ground while covering his crotch. Xiaoba, are you okay? Chun Boang panicked, seeing his son in this state. Dad, I'm done. Ouch. Chun Xiaoba couldn't even finish his sentence, rolling on the floor in pain. Perhaps he saw his savior, but his eyes rolled back and he fainted. Little bitch, what did you do to my son? I'm going to kill you. Chun Boang didn't need to guess to know what was going on. His son must have pushed Ziyu, and she fought back, kicking Chun Xiaoba in the crotch. So Chun Bawang didn't bother asking and pulled out his gun, aiming it at Ziyu. He wasn't a Jianghu, and a gun was the strongest weapon in his hands. Boss Zhu was just watching the show, letting Ziyu have some fun, but seeing Chun Bawang pull out his gun, Boss Zhu panicked. Ziyu wasn't a Jianghu. How could she dodge a gun? Boss Zhu directly broke through the window and slapped Overlord Chen's arm that was holding the gun. His arm was smashed into pieces, and the pistol fell to the ground. Who are you? Chen Bawang did not expect that someone would come in through the window. Although his arm was in pain, he still asked in shock. He was an ambitious person. Although his arm was in pain, it was impossible for him to toss and turn like Chun Xiaoba. Her brother sent me. Boss Zhu pointed at Ziyu. Grandpa Zhu. Ziyu knew Boss Zhu, too. She was close to Chun Shi and naturally saw Boss Zhu a lot. Hearing that Boss Zhu was sent by Lin Yi, she was happy but worried. Lil, she was kidnapped too? How is she? Don't worry, missing. Mr. Lin went to save Lil Shi himself. Boss Zhu usually called Ziyu Ziyu, but now that his identity was out in the open, he couldn't do that anymore. Chapter 25:57. Lin Yi bro went to save Lil Shi. Ziyu breathed out in relief. She was happy for Chun Shi, but at the same time, she was a little disappointed. Chun Shi liked Lin Yi, but she liked him as well. Ever since the first day Lin Yi brought her to do hairstyling, Ziyu started to like Lin Yi bit by bit. But her liking was subtle, and by the time she realized it, Chun Shi had already expressed her feelings for Lin Yi. Ziyu couldn't fight for a man with her sister that didn't fit her big sister character, so she could only keep it to herself. She often helped Chun Shi with her plans, but wasn't that what she wanted as well? She was using Chun Shi to make it happen. Old thing, you're treating me like I don't exist, are you? Chen Bawang heard Boss Zhu and Ziyu talking like there was no one else around, and he was a king of the underworld, a boss of the underworld. How could he feel good being ignored like this? A small shrimp dares to talk big in front of a cultivator? Boss Zhu smiled coldly and slapped him. I won't take your life. I'll leave your life to Mr. Lin to decide. Cultivator? Chen Bawang was shocked, and this was his last thought before he fainted. His backing was the hidden house Shuang, and he naturally knew who cultivators were. He knew how strong they were, but he never would have thought that this old man was a cultivator. Which force was he from? But Chen Bawang didn't have time to think about it and fainted. Boss Zhu called Lin Yi at that moment. Mr. Lin, Miss Ying's fine, she's fine. Chun Xiaoba's balls were crushed by Miss Ying, and Chun Bawang wanted to use a gun, but I broke his meridians and bones, turning him into a cripple. Well done. I'm heading to the hidden house Shuang now. Bring them with you. Lin Yi breathed out in relief. He knew that Ziyu wouldn't be in any trouble with Boss Zhu following her, but it was still a huge weight lifted off his shoulders. Hidden Zhuang family? Boss Zhu paused. Mr. Lin, haven't you settled your things? Are we going to kill our way into the hidden Zhuang clan? With this thought, Boss Zhu became excited. Is Lin Yi going to massacre the hidden Zhuang family? That would definitely be very hot-blooded. However, with his strength, would he be sending himself to his death by following beside Lin Yi? Kill what kill? Lin Yi smiled. The hidden Zhuang family seems to want to get close to me. I'll go take a look first. They want to. Zhu boss wasn't stupid. Hearing Lin Yi's words, he immediately understood. Hidden Zhuang family wanted to recognize Lin Yi as their boss. Thinking about this, Boss Zhu felt bitter. Why did Hidden House Han, Hidden House Pai, and even Hidden House Zhuang know that joining Lin Yi was their only way out? But why did Hidden House Zhao want to die? What good was there in going against Lin Yi? When Lin Yi got angry, he'd just destroy the entire Hidden House Zhao. Boss Zhu felt a bit wronged. They were joining Lin Yi's side, so it was natural for their people to work with Lin Yi. But he had to do it sneakily. What the hell was going on? Haha, don't be upset. Lin Yi could tell that Boss Zhu was upset. He smiled. House Zhao, don't they still have Zhao Qikuan? Oh, Boss Zhu's eyes lit up. That's right, they still had Zhao Qikuan. Why didn't he think of this before? If Qikuan died in the Sky Elixir School's test, then everything would be over. But what if he didn't die? With Lin Yi's support, Zhao Qiqun wouldn't be able to do anything, would he? At that time, Hidden House, Zhao would turn the sky upside down. They might even split apart. I'll go right now. Boss Zhu took a deep breath and made his choice. He didn't have a choice, actually. He didn't want to die, so he could only become Lin Yi's follower. With Ziyu and Chun Xiaoba and Chun Bawang in his hands, Boss Zhu got in the car they were in before and sped toward the city. Lin Yi followed Zhuang Niaoqiang off the highway and got on a very smooth road. This road had a toll booth as well, but it wasn't open to the public. It only checked the cars coming and going from Hidden House Zhuang. With Zhuang Niaoqiang leading the way and Zhuang Niapeo sitting on the side, the two cars entered the road without any obstructions. They soon arrived at a manor. The environment here was pretty much the same as Hidden House Zhao and House Han. It seemed like the hidden houses all had similar styles. Grandpa Zhuang, who had received Zhuang Niaoqiang's call, was already waiting at the entrance of the manor. In front of Lin Yi, there was nothing he could do. He was just an Earth-class late-phase peak master, while Lin Yi was a mid-phase peak Earth-class mid-phase peak. His real strength was enough to kill Sky-class masters. In front of him, Lin Yi was like a senior. The two cars stopped in front of the manor, and Elder Zhua ignored Zhang Niaoqiang as he walked up to Lin Yi's jeep with a smile. He opened the door for Lin Yi respectfully. "Welcome, Elder Lin. Your presence brings light to our humble abode. We welcome you with open arms." Once upon a time, Elder Zhuang was very against Lin Yi at the Hidden House Summit, but things had changed. After knowing Lin Yi's ability to kill Sky-class masters, he adjusted his attitude, changing from being against him to fear and respect. Now, Hidden House Zhuang might become Lin Yi's follower. With such a great opportunity, Elder Zhuang was even more cautious, not daring to make any mistakes. "Haha, you're too polite, Elder Zhuang." Lin Yi smiled faintly and accepted the title of senior. Back in the cultivator's market, third brother of the right had already called him senior, so Lin Yi was used to it. "Senior Lin, please." The more indifferent Lin Yi was, the more Elder Zhuang felt that Lin Yi was amazing. As the saying goes, if Lin Yi wasn't amazing, how could he have such a demeanor? "Wait, let me take a look at my sister first." Lin Yi waved his hand and walked to Zhuang Niaoqiang's Mercedes-Benz MPV. He carried Chun Shi from the back seat. Although Lin Yi already knew that Chun Shi was fine, and Zhuang Niapeo and Zhuang Niaoqiang wouldn't lie to him, but after a careful examination, he found that Chun Shi really just fainted. Chapter 2558. I'm really sorry about this. We didn't know that Miss Chun Shi is Senior Lin's godsister. If we had known, we wouldn't have dared to do this, even if we had the support of an ancient sect. Elder Zhuang's words sounded nice. What he meant was that Lin Yi was very powerful. Even if he had the support of an ancient sect, he wouldn't have dared to do this. "It's fine. It's not your fault for not knowing." Lin Yi didn't want to pursue this matter any further. He couldn't say that the hidden Zhuang family was in the wrong. It was just that they didn't have the same information. If they knew Chun Shi's background, they definitely wouldn't have done this. Lin Yi followed Elder Zhuang into the Zhuang family's manor. Zhuang Niapeo and Zhuang Niaoqiang didn't dare to walk beside Lin Yi. Elder Zhuang treated Lin Yi like a VIP and went straight to the most luxurious reception room of the hidden Zhuang family. This place was usually used to receive the heads of other hidden families and people from the ancient sections. Now that it was used to receive Lin Yi, it showed how much importance the Zhuang family placed on Lin Yi. "Senior Lin, this is actually a misunderstanding. We, the hidden Zhuang family, want to use this opportunity to bury the hatchet. I wonder if Senior Lin can accept us?" Elder Zhuang understood Lin Yi's personality a little. He knew that Lin Yi liked to go straight to the point and didn't like to beat around the bush. He didn't bother with the pleasantries and just expressed his intention of defecting. Lin Yi smiled. "What can you offer? I'll accept your Zhuang family as my underlings. If something happens to you, I'll have to help you settle it. We, the Zhuang family, will naturally follow Senior Lin's lead. Of course, in order to express our sincerity, We will offer all the good things of our Zhuang family for Senior Lin to choose. Elder Zhuang said seriously. Oh. After hearing Elder Zhuang's words, Lin Yi was a bit surprised. He didn't expect that Elder Zhuang could offer such an attractive condition, which was exactly the same as the Hidden Han family. One had to know that even though the Hidden Han clan had pledged allegiance to Lin Yi, they had no choice but to take out all of their treasures for Lin Yi to choose from. However, the Hidden Zhuang clan was different. They had only offended Lin Yi and kidnapped Chen Shi. All they had to do now was take out 1 or 2 valuable treasures, and the matter would be resolved. However, the Hidden Zhuang family had directly revealed their trump card. From the looks of it, they were eager to surrender and had no intention of bargaining with Lin Yi. Then let's go take a look. Lin Yi nodded, accepting the Hidden Zhuang family in his heart. Lin Yi was a straightforward person, and he liked people who did things in a straightforward manner. If they hid things, Lin Yi wouldn't have bothered to deal with them. On the contrary, Lin Yi approved of the Hidden Zhuang family's way of doing things. Senior Lin, please. Grandpa Zhuang heaved a sigh of relief and smiled. Since Lin Yi said this, then the Hidden Zhuang family's acceptance was already set in stone. Unless Lin Yi went back on his words, or the treasures in the vault were too bad, Lin Yi wouldn't be interested in them. The vault is in a manor in the basement of my courtyard. Zhuang Niapeo and Zhuang Niaoqiang's eyes lit up. Both of them had never been to their family's vault before. Thanks to Lin Yi, they were able to go in and take a look. Lin Yi carried Chen Shi on his shoulder. I didn't wake her up. He could tell that Chen Shi didn't have enough sleep. Lin Yi wanted to take this opportunity to let Chen Shi sleep a little longer. This girl was also very hardworking. Other than studying, she also had to go scavenge for the family. The design of the vault was almost the same as the Hidden Han families. Lin Yi even suspected that they had a telepathic connection and found the same designer. In short, the situation was almost the same. After Grandpa Zhuang verified the fingerprint and password, the door of the vault opened. Niapeo, Niaoqiang, what would I say now? Don't spread it around. Even your father, I, have never said these words. Grandpa Zhuang said, this is the core secret of our Hidden Zhuang family. It's only passed down from generation to generation. But now that our Hidden Zhuang family has submitted to Senior Lin, we naturally can't hide this from Senior Lin. Yes, Grandpa, we won't say anything. Zhuang Niapeo and Zhuang Niaoqiang quickly promised. Lin Yi was a little surprised. What secret did this Hidden Zhuang family have that even Zhuang Niapeo and Zhuang Niaoqiang didn't know about it? Senior Lin, actually the ancestors of our Hidden Zhuang family originated from the Everyday and Everyday sect. Our ancestor was a disciple of the Everyday and Everyday sect, but he had a falling out with the sect leader at that time, so he left the sect and established his own sect. Although the Hidden Zhuang family flourished for a while and was as powerful as the ancient times, we, the younger generation, didn't have any outstanding talents. Until now, we were only classified as a hidden family. But now this matter has passed for a long time. Even the Everyday and Everyday sect itself doesn't know about this. We also don't dare to announce that our cultivation technique came from the Everyday and Everyday sect. Not only will it attract the hostility of some righteous sects, we're also afraid that the Everyday and Everyday sect will come and ask us for the things our ancestor took away. Grandpa Zhuang explained in one breath. So, you're a branch of the Everyday and Everyday sect? Seems like you have a great background. Lin Yi was surprised. I have a grudge with the Everyday and Everyday sect. Have you thought about it? We have a grudge with our ancestors. If this matter is spread out, we won't get any benefits. Grandpa Zhuang smiled bitterly. Moreover, even if Senior Lin doesn't mention this, the Everyday and Everyday sect won't care about small fries like us, right? Lin Yi nodded and said, let's see what treasures you have. All right, this is the treasury, and that is the scripture pavilion. What does Senior Lin want to see first? Grandpa Zhuang asked. Let's see the treasures first. Lin Yi thought for a moment and said. Lin Yi didn't lack cultivation techniques and martial techniques at the moment, unless they were especially heaven-defying. Therefore, Lin Yi's attention was still on the treasures, to see if there was anything he needed. Here it is. Grandpa Zhuang led Lin Yi into one of the rooms and pointed to a row of shelves in front of them. These are the treasures of our hidden Zhuang family for many years. Chapter 2559. But what was good in the eyes of the hidden house Zhuang was just SOSO in Lin Yi's eyes. They were all things that Lin Yi didn't care about at the hidden house's summit. He didn't even have as many things as the hidden house haunts. Seeing the disappointment in Lin Yi's eyes, old Master Zhuang's heart tightened. He remembered that Lin Yi had also won a lot of things in the Hidden Family Summit. Most importantly, Lin Yi had been to the Hidden Han family before. It was said that the Hidden Han family had found an ancient relic. In that case, the Hidden Han family must have more good things than the Hidden Zhuang family. It was normal for Lin Yi to be disappointed. Qianbei Lin, I'm afraid that you don't like these things, but they're the collection of our Hidden Zhuang family for many years. Master Zhu said with a wry smile, the materials of these 2 qi-gathering pills are the most valuable among them. However, we don't have a third-grade alchemist in our clan, so we can't refine third-grade pills. The materials of these qi-gathering pills have been preserved for thousands of years, so they don't have much value. Master Zhu said as he pointed at a box on a shelf. Oh, materials for qi-gathering pills? Lin Yi was surprised. He didn't expect that the Hidden Zhuang family also had this thing. Yes, this is my ancestor Tsongming. I got it from the E-School, but there are too few third-grade alchemists, and the Heavenly Elixir sect won't help us, so it has been left here. Old Master Zhuang introduced. Could it be that Mr. Lin is interested in the materials for qi-gathering pills? Master Zhuang was a bit surprised. Although the material of gathering qi pill was good, it felt a bit useless. It was tasteless, but it was a pity to throw it away. It had been here for thousands of years, but it was useless. Master Zhuang's ancestors couldn't find an alchemist, so Master Zhuang didn't think that he could find an alchemist to refine it now. So he didn't have any interest in them at all. But in his opinion, Lin Yi was probably the same as when he first found out about them. At that time, old Master Zhuang was also full of confidence. But after a long time, he realized that thinking too much would only increase his worries. That's right, I'm interested in materials for this qi-gathering pill. Lin Yi nodded. Senior Lin, if you like it, you can have it. Elder Zhuang was quite quick-witted. No matter how precious this thing was, it was useless to him. He might as well give it to Lin Yi. Old Master Zhuang is straightforward. Then I won't be pretentious either. Why make the qi-gathering pill? I'll need one from you. Lin Yi was quite fond of people like old Zhua who didn't beat around the bush when it came to doing things. I'm looking forward to it. Old Master Zhuang laughed. In fact, he didn't think that Lin Yi could become a grade 3 alchemist. It wasn't that he didn't believe in Lin Yi, but Lin Yi couldn't put too much effort into alchemy. Cultivation was the right way. After all, there weren't many alchemists like Heavenly Elixir sect that concentrated on alchemy. Lin Yi could see that old Zhuo wasn't interested in it, and he understood what he was thinking. If it was that easy to concoct, old Zhuo wouldn't have given him the materials so easily. I won't look at the others. Old Master Zhuang, I just want to ask you, do you have blue crystal, pure topaz, or colored steel? Lin Yi roughly glanced at the Zhuang family's treasure vault. Lin Yi didn't bother to look for those things, so he asked directly. Blue crystal, pure topaz, colored steel. Well, I don't have pure topaz, but I do have pure purple jade. Is that okay? Old Master Zhuang thought for a moment and asked, Pure purple jade? That won't be necessary. Lin Yi shook his head. There are enough materials for qi-gathering pill. That's all. Not going to look at them. Elder Zhu felt a little guilty. The ingredients for the pill were precious, but they were useless to him. Lin Yi might feel like he got a treasure now, but when he went back and realized that he couldn't make the pill, he would feel like he didn't get anything better. Elder Zhu felt like he didn't get anything better. Elder Zhu felt a little guilty. No, let's go to the Sutra Pavilion to look at martial arts and mental cultivation methods. Lin Yi wasn't a greedy man, and since Elder Zhuang was on his side, he could always come and take whatever he needed. He didn't need to empty everything out. That's fine too. Old Master Zhuang didn't really care about martial arts and mental cultivation methods. Although martial arts and mental cultivation methods were not passed on to outsiders, but in his opinion, they were of little value to Lin Yi. Lin Yi was already an Earth Class Peak mid-stage master. He definitely wouldn't destroy his own mental cultivation method and start from scratch. Plus, the Zhuang family didn't have external mental cultivation methods, so there's no point for Lin Yi to look at Zhuang family's mental cultivation method. As for martial arts, each martial art had a corresponding mental cultivation method. Not everyone could use it, not to mention martial arts. It was very difficult to understand a martial art. Lin Yi already had a powerful martial art. Why would he need to study other people's martial arts? Therefore, in old Master Zhuang's eyes, Lin Yi was only going to look at the Sutra Pavilion. At most, he would make a copy for his collection. But since Lin Yi had requested, he could only follow Lin Yi to the Sutra Pavilion. Zhuang Niaqiang and Zhuang Niapeo were very envious of Lin Yi's qi-gathering pill refining materials. These were qi-gathering pills. If it was successfully refined, then eating it would mean reaching heaven class. They didn't know why their grandfather was so unenthusiastic. The two of them were still too young, and they didn't know much about medicinal pills. That's why they had this idea. But old Master Zhuang was different. He was an old man and didn't have the unrealistic expectations of his youth. Following Lin Yi to the Sutra Pavilion next door, Zhuang Niapeo and Zhuang Niapeo respectfully stood at the side, while old Master Zhuang introduced the books in the Sutra Pavilion. The hidden Zhuang family Sutra Pavilion had a lot more books than the hidden Han families. After all, books weren't treasures. Even if they were exchanged with others, they could still be copied and copied. The hidden Zhuang family had a long history, so it wasn't strange for them to have a lot of books. So many? All of them are mental cultivation methods and martial arts? Lin Yi asked. The ones that are useful are actually the few books on the shelf. These books are all useless martial techniques and mental cultivation methods, just for show. Old Master Zhuang revealed a bitter smile and said, most of them were exchanged with others, which were unimportant and useful. Nobody would easily exchange them. Take these books on the shelf as an example. They're the real treasures of our ancestor. Old Master Zhuang regained his sight. Chapter 2560. Oh, Lin Yi casually picked up a book and flipped through it. Sure enough, the content made Lin Yi dumbfounded. Toad Fist, the difficulty level was easy. The first style was equivalent to 1/5 of a normal martial skill's power. Although it was easy to practice, it was useless in Lin Yi's eyes. Lin Yi flipped through another book. It was also similar. Just like what Elder Zhuang said, it was just for show, but had no practical use. Is that so? Elder Zhuang smiled bitterly. Senior Lin, why don't you take a look at these basic martial skills and heart sutras? All right. Lin Yi nodded and turned his attention to the other martial arts and practitioners' arts that were placed separately. This is our hidden Zhuang family's heart sutras. Our hidden Zhuang family's heart sutras are all based on the metal attribute, which focuses on ferociousness and big movements. Old Master Zhuang said, I practice a mental cultivation method that focuses solely on the metal attribute, while Bird Spear Zhuang and Bird Pow Zhuang practice a mental cultivation method that combines the metal attribute. Only when the two of them act together can they release the greatest power, but if they act alone, they will be much weaker. Oh, there's a two-person joint attack heart sutras? Lin Yi was a little surprised. He didn't expect this hidden Zhuang family to have such good stuff. Yes, this heart sutras is a very mysterious heart sutras. It was only passed down in the ancient times. My ancestor happened to get some treasures from the everyday and everyday sect, and one of them was this heart sutras. Elder Zhuang said, then this heart sutras can make two people's strength superimpose and become a more powerful combination. Lin Yi understood the meaning of the heart sutras. You can say that. Bird Spear and Bird Pow are both at the peak of early Earth class, but if two people use this heart sutras at the same time, it will be equivalent to the peak of late Earth class. combined with a martial skill, it will be even more powerful. Elder Zhuang said. Indeed powerful. Lin Yi was surprised. But this heart sutras can only be practiced by 2 people at the same time? Is there no effect if you cultivate alone? When Lin Yi saw this mental cultivation method, the first thing that came to his mind was whether he could combine with Han Jingjing to refine pills together. If it was possible, the strength of the 2 of them together, even if it was not heaven stage, it should be more or less the same. After all, Zhuang Niaoqiang and Zhuang Niapeo could reach the peak of Earth Stage late stage. That Lin Yi was at the peak of Earth Stage mid stage, and Han Jingjing was at the early Earth Stage early stage. According to the amount of Zhen Qi in their bodies, it should be about the same. Therefore, Lin Yi asked while suppressing the excitement in his heart. If he succeeded, he would be able to refine a 3rd-grade elixir in advance. Not only would he be able to refine the Ice Heart Jade Bone pill that he promised Rock Candy, but there was also hope for the Qi amassing pill. With so many Qi gathering pills, Lin Yi would be able to mass-produce several Sky-tier experts. This was also the reason why Lin Yi was so desperate. Once Lin Yi reached Heaven rank, he could mass-produce some Earth rank late-phase peak experts. Then, with a Qi amassing pill, they could break through to Heaven rank. At that time, Lin Yi would be able to talk to the ancient powerhouses face-to-face. Just thinking about it made people excited and excited. Although they were all Heaven rank initial stage experts, it was still not a small force. At the very least, it was similar to the weakest ancient family or ancient sect. At that time, even Bingtang would not be able to look down on Lin Yi. Lin Yi thought evilly. Only when 2 people practice it at the same time can their strength be superimposed. If only one person practices it, then the person who practices it will only be able to superimpose half of his strength on another person who has not practiced it before. The power will be greatly reduced, and after the superimposed half of the strength, it will not be able to be taken back. Grandpa was said. Can't be taken back? Then it will be given to another person? Lin Yi asked. No, when you stop practicing the mantra, the qi that was given to the other person will disappear. It will not be absorbed by another person. Grandpa Zhui smiled bitterly and said, this is also the reason why the shotgun and bird cannon are practiced at the same time. If one person practices it alone, there'll be too many disadvantages. This mantra is not meant for one person. Is that so? Lin Yi was a little disappointed. If 2 people practiced it, then he and Han Jingjing would have to practice this mantra at the same time if they wanted to combine their strength. It was a mantra, but it was really difficult to practice a mantra from the beginning. Yes, but Senior Lin, you don't have to worry about this. After all, a practitioner can only practice one mantra. This is an unchangeable rule. Very few practitioners practice 2 mantras at the same time. Grandpa was said, you can't do 2 things at the same time. If you want to practice another mantra, you will have to give up the mantra you are practicing now. Furthermore, it might not even succeed. Who knows? You might suffer a double loss and not be able to cultivate at all. So, Senior Lin wouldn't do something like putting the cart before the horse, right? That's true. Lin Yi suddenly recalled that it was true. When he was helping Meng Yao and Chun Jianshu to practice their mantras, he had also looked through a lot of information about practitioners. It was precisely because a practitioner could only practice one mantra that Lin Yi didn't help Meng Yao and Chun Jianshu to choose. After all, it was fine if they chose the right one, but if they chose the wrong one, it would be the same as harming them. Lin Yi couldn't help but smile bitterly. It seemed like his idea was good, but it was hard to put into practice. No matter how good the mantra was, Lin Yi couldn't practice it himself, let alone Han Jingjing. The art of dragon mastery was Lin Yi's trump card. How could he just give it up so easily? That would be a waste of a heavenly treasure. This is a joint attack, and it can be used together with the mantra. It won't be of much use to Senior Lin. It's fine to keep it, but to practice it. Grandpa Zhuo shook his head. Senior Lin should be practicing a fire element martial art, right? As for my martial art, although it's meant for one person, it doesn't suit Senior Lin's mantra, so I don't think you can practice it. Oh, forget it then. Lin Yi waved his hand. I'll make a copy of this mantra and martial art. I don't need the others. All right. Lin, he wanted to make a copy of the mantra and martial art was not out of Grandpa Zhu's expectation. Normally, even if practitioners couldn't practice it themselves, they would still like to collect some martial arts and mantras. Chapter 2561. It was just like how Elder Zhuang exchanged all those useless arts and techniques with other people, but Lin, he only copied the combination arts and techniques, not the ones that could be used by a single person. This made Elder Zhuang feel weirded. Why didn't Lin, he copy everything? But Lin Yi's thoughts weren't something he could guess. Elder Zhuang asked Zhuang Niaoqiang to make a copy of the technique. He said that it was a copy, but in this high-tech era, there wasn't even a need to copy the technique. They could just make a copy. He took the copies of the practitioner's arts and techniques and left the hidden house Zhuang's treasury. At this time, Lin got a call from Zhu boss. He was at the road leading to the hidden house, but the guards didn't let him in. Wait a minute. Lin passed the phone to Elder Zhuang. My men are here, but they're stopped at the road. Can you talk to them? Yes, Senior Lin. Elder Zhuang hurriedly took over the phone and said something to the other end of the line. Then the guard at the road hurriedly let them pass. In the guest room, Lin saw Ziyu and Zhu boss, who were perfectly fine. Chun Shi, however, wasn't awake yet, still on Lin Yi's shoulder. Lin bro, what's wrong with Shi? Ziyu pointed at Chun Shi on Lin Yi's shoulder, surprised. She was the only one who dared to talk like this in front of Lin Yi. Zhu boss, Elder Zhuang, Zhuang Niaoqiang, and Zhuang Niapo all stood on the side respectfully. She fainted, but I saw that she didn't have enough sleep, so I let her sleep for a bit. Lin said, Don't worry about her. I recognize them. It's these two little bastards who beat this old mother. Knocked this miss unconscious. Ziyu saw Zhuang Niaoqiang and Zhuang Niapo not far behind Lin Yi, and she got so excited that she blurted out words like your mother, but remembering that Lin didn't want her to swear, she quickly changed it. She was still staring at Zhuang Niapeo, and Zhuang Niapeo angrily wanted to eat them alive. Zhuang Niapeo and Zhuang Niaoqiang looked at each other helplessly. They were impressed by Ziyu's memory, remembering their faces in an instant. But this girl seemed to be Lin Yi's sister, or else she wouldn't be talking to Lin Yi like that. So Zhuang Niaoqiang and Zhuang Niapeo carefully explained, Sorry, we didn't do it on purpose. Not on purpose? You clearly did it on purpose. Ziyu said, Ugh, that. Zhuang Niapeo was a bit awkward. It was on purpose, but saying it wasn't on purpose would be like lying through their teeth. He was just looking for an excuse, and Ziyu took it seriously. I'm Senior Lin's follower now. We're on the same side. Can we let bygones be bygones? Follower. Ziyu paused and looked at Lin Yi, confused. He's really your follower? Yeah, but I just met him. Lin Yi nodded. Since you're Lin Yi bro's followers, then naturally you're my follower too. Aren't you going to call me Big Sis? Ziyu pointed at Zhuang Niapeo and Zhuang Niaoqiang. Ugh. Hi, Big Sis. Zhuang Niapeo and Zhuang Niaoqiang quickly greeted. That's more like it. I'll remember what you did to me before, so I won't punish you. But whatever I tell you to do, just be quick. Ziyu wasn't stupid. She could tell that Zhuang Niapeo and Zhuang Niaoqiang weren't normal people. Living in a manner like this, how could they be nobodies? Having two followers like this was a good thing. They were much more useful than Zhou Ruoming. All right, no problem. Zhuang Niapeo and Zhuang Niaoqiang were worried that they couldn't find a chance to work for Lin Yi. Now that they were working for Lin Yi's sister, it'd be the same. Lin Yi would have no choice but to accept them. But Lin Yi didn't say anything. Since House Zhuang wanted to expand to Songshan, then it'd be good for Zhuang Niapeo and Zhuang Niaoqiang to look after Ziyu and Chun Shi. At least they were more reliable than Zihuali. Zhou Ruoming didn't dare go against House Zhuang, but his reputation was too low. He couldn't even handle Qin Xiaoba. Mr. Lin, I brought Qin Xiaoba and Qin Boang. They're in the car at the door. What do you think? Boss Zhu asked after Ziyu and the brothers finished talking. Oh, you brought them? Lin Yi nodded and turned to Elder Zhuang. Elder Zhuang, Qinba Wang and his son are still part of House Zhuang. Since you've brought them here, it's up to you to decide what to do with them. Niapeo, Niao Qiang, bury them. Elder Zhuang was a bit annoyed at the mention of Qinba Wang and his son. He almost lost his life because of that, bringing the entire hidden house Zhuang down with him. Although the result was good, it was also a coincidence. If he waited until he used Chun Shi, then everything would be over. And the cause of all of this was Chun Xiaoba's lust for Ziyu's beauty. So even without Chun Shi, if Ziyu was ruined by Chun Xiaoba, then Lin Yi wouldn't let House Zhuang off so easily. So Elder Zhuang gave the death sentence to these two troublemakers. They were going to expand in Songshan anyways, and they just have to find someone to support them. They might not have anything else, but it was easy to find a spokesperson. Yes, Grandpa, Zhuang Niapeo and Zhuang Niaoqiang replied, but they didn't move immediately. Instead, they turned to Lin Yi. Boss, what do you think? Zhuang Niapeo and Niaoqiang didn't listen to Elder Zhuang's orders, but didn't make Elder Zhuang angry. Instead, it made him happy. It seemed that his two grandsons weren't just training stupidly. They were quite smooth and knew how to please Lin Yi. Let's listen to Elder Zhuang. Lin Yi said faintly, there's a person called Zhou Tiandi in Songshan. He's not bad. You could train him to be your spokesperson. Zhou Tiandi and Zhou Ruoming were too low in Lin Yi's eyes. Lin Yi couldn't just take them in as followers. After all, they weren't practitioners, and Lin Yi couldn't train them. But since they had been helping Lin Yi, Ziyu, and Chun Shi, Lin Yi decided to help them out. Yes, Zhuang Niapeo and Zhuang Niaoqiang left with Boss Zhu, preparing to dig a hole. Elder Zhuang heard Lin Yi's words and remembered Zhou Tiandi's name immediately. Hidden House Zhao. Elder Zhuang was worried about the Hidden House Zhao's reaction since Songshan City used to be their territory. Chapter 2562. Yes, Senior Lin. Elder Zhuang was delighted at Lin Yi's support. He thought that he wouldn't support Lin Yi too much if he didn't show enough sincerity. But now it seemed like Lin Yi was really supporting the Hidden House Zhuang. About the business in Songshan, should I transfer a portion of the profits to Senior Lin's account regularly, or it's fine, just donate it to the Songshan orphanage? Lin Yi said with a wave of his hand. He didn't lack the money, so he might as well donate it to Xiaoke and let her improve the orphanage. Okay. Elder Zhuang nodded, remembering the name of another Songshan orphanage in his mind. He was old, and naturally knew that this was the orphanage Lin Yi was looking out for. He'd included this orphanage in his list of protection. Soon, Zhuang Niapeo, Zhuang Niaoqiang, and Boss Zhu came back. It seemed like they had taken care of Chunba Wang and Qin Xiaoba. Senior Lin, you won't be able to see these two anymore, Zhuang Niapeo said carefully. Okay, Boss Zhu, introduce yourselves. Take care of them in Songshan in the future. Lin Yi looked at Boss Zhu. Boss Zhu gritted his teeth. He knew that if his identity was exposed here, it would mean that he would become enemies with the Hidden House Zhao and Zhao Qibing. But he had no choice. If he didn't show his true colors, he would end up the same as Chunba Wang and Chun Xiaoba. Boss Zhu, I'm from the Hidden House Zhao. Currently, I'm Mr. Lin's subordinate. Boss Zhu introduced himself. Oh, Hidden House Zhao? Elder Zhuang was startled. He didn't expect Boss Zhu to have this identity. They were going to Songshan to develop, so they would be enemies with the Hidden House Zhao. Now that Boss Zhu was Lin Yi's subordinate, what did that mean? Could it be that the Hidden House Zhao had already joined Lin Yi's side? But he didn't hear about it. Of course, in front of everyone, I'm just Mr. Lin's subordinate. I have nothing to do with the Hidden House Zhao, Boss Zhu explained. Oh, Elder Zhuang nodded, understanding the relationship between the two. So Boss Zhu didn't represent the Hidden House Zhaos and wasn't that close to them. All right, if there's nothing else, I'll leave first. You guys only need to use my name to develop your business in Songshan. I believe that Sihua will back off, Lin Yi said. All right, Senior Lin, I'll leave you to your work. Elder Zhuang wanted Lin Yi to stay for dinner, but it seemed that Lin Yi didn't have that intention at all. Everything was settled now. As long as Lin Yi agreed to let House Shuang use Lin Yi's name to do things. Lin Yi's name was a golden signboard. Wasn't that what the hidden house Han was relying on? Lin Yi nodded and brought Ziyu and Chun Shi out of hidden Zhuang house with Boss Zhu. Lin Yi still had a lot of things he wanted to ask Boss Zhu, so he didn't want to linger. Of course, he didn't want Ziyu and Chun Shi to hear this. Ziyu, I'll send you guys home? Lin Yi asked. Sure. Ziyu was very obedient in front of Lin Yi. Boss Zhu drove, and Lin Yi sat in the front passenger seat. Ziyu sat in the back, looking after Chun Shi. The car slowly drove out of the manor. Ziyu was curious. Why did Boss Zhu say that he was from the hidden house Zhao? What kind of house was the hidden house Zhao? It sounded really powerful. Wasn't he just a trash picker? But she couldn't ask if Lin Yi didn't explain. Just as she was getting curious, she heard Lin Yi say, Ziyu, don't tell Chun Shi about what happened today. She's a pure girl, and I don't want her to know too much about these things. Ziyu was going crazy after hearing Lin Yi's words. What did he mean? She wasn't pure? She could do whatever she wanted? She was happy that Lin Yi was treating Chun Shi well, but at the same time, she wasn't too happy about it. You're different from Chun Shi. You used to be a big sister, and it's normal for you to kill people with a knife. You didn't have any expression when you saw Chun Xiaoba and Chun Bawang getting buried today, so there's no harm in you knowing some things. Lin Yi continued. Oh, Ziyu was happy. Didn't Lin Yi mean that she knew more secrets? Did that mean she was stronger than Chun Shi? Ziyu was happy again at the thought. Also, don't talk about Boss Zhu's identity. Let him protect Chun Shi quietly. Lin Yi said. Okay. Ziyu felt that she was an adult now, and she could talk to Lin Yi on equal footing. Didn't that mean she had a chance? Ziyu's heart sped up. What's wrong? Why is your expression so unnatural? Lin Yi turned to look at Ziyu, curious. No, it's nothing. I just feel like Lin Yi bro trusts me, and I'll keep it a secret. Ziyu said. Oh. Lin Yi nodded, not thinking much about it. It was about time, so Lin Yi didn't treat Ziyu to dinner. He carried Chun Shi to her place and left with Boss Zhu. Ziyu was a little disappointed. She wanted to wake Chun Shi up, but she didn't even see Lin Yi come. She'd be very disappointed if she woke up. Ziyu knew Chun Shi very well. She didn't say it, but she thought about Lin Yi every day, hoping that Lin Yi would come to visit them. Just this afternoon, Ziyu said that Lin Yi came to school to look for them. Chun Shi was so happy that her face was red. It seemed like she had to hide it from Chun Shi, who knew what excuse she'd come up with to explain what happened. Ziyu felt a headache coming on. Only Lin Yi and Boss Zhu were left in the car. Lin Yi looked at Boss Zhu. Tell me, what happened to Chun Shi? Chapter 2563. Lin Yi nodded. Things were pretty much what he guessed. What does Chun Shi need to do to become a human cauldron? What does Zhao Guanyin want? You know that the hidden house Zhao and House Shuang were pretty much the same. They didn't have a sky class, and they were at the bottom of the hidden houses. Just the marriage with House Yu wasn't enough. They wanted to develop and find a backer for their family, and that's always been their dream. Boss Zhu said, so once Chun Shi succeeds, she'll be given to an ancient sex young prodigy as a human cauldron, in exchange for an ancient backer for the hidden house Zhao. I see. Lin Yi nodded. No wonder the hidden house Zhao didn't get close to him. They had a trump card, but that was to be expected. After all, an ancient backer was nothing compared to Lin Yi. It was just that the hidden house Zhao's people were all short-sighted and neglected Lin Yi's growth. In such a short period of time, Lin Yi went from a golden class master that Uncle Zhu could injure to an earth class mid-phase peak who could kill sky class instantly. This kind of growth speed was simply amazing. Lin Yi might not have the power of an ancient fighter now, but what about after a while? If they knew about Lin Yi's plan to mass-produce sky-class fighters, they wouldn't think this way. Protect Chun Shi. Tell me before they touch her, Lin Yi said. Yes, Mr. Lin. Boss Zhu didn't understand why Lin didn't do anything to the hidden house Zhao yet. With Lin Yi's power, wouldn't it be a matter of minutes? What he didn't know was that although Lin Yi could destroy the hidden house Zhao, Lin, he had to spend a lot of effort to do so. He could only ambush them one by one. And once the other hidden houses that had a grudge against Lin, he felt that Lin, he had become a threat. They would band together and fight Lin, he to the death. At that time, it wouldn't be as simple as a life and death struggle. Lin, he was very clear about his abilities. Although ambushing a heaven rank wasn't a problem, facing a few heaven rank masters head-on was basically courting death. Now, as long as Lin, he didn't completely destroy their families, they wouldn't band together. They all had their own plans, and no one wanted to go against Lin E and get killed by Lin E. So they maintained a delicate balance. What Lin E needed to do was to maintain this balance as much as possible to get more hidden houses to lean towards him. If he could turn enemies into friends, he would. If he couldn't, at least before Lin he had complete confidence, he wouldn't make a move against them. Yes, your brother, Zhu. How's his injury? Lin he asked faintly. He wanted Zhu Boss to follow him wholeheartedly, so he had to give him some benefits. Zhu's injury was this opportunity. If Lin he healed him, then Zhu Boss would definitely follow Lin he wholeheartedly. Zhu Boss heard Lin Yi's question, and his expression froze. His eyes flashed with disbelief. He's crippled now, Mr. Lin. You mean, find a suitable opportunity, I'll heal him. Lin Yi nodded and said faintly, do your best. I'll increase Zhu's strength a bit. It's not impossible for him to reach Mystic Late Phase peak. Zhu Boss didn't think that Lin Yi really wanted to heal him. Not only that, but he was going to increase his strength to Mystic Late Phase peak. This was great news. One had to know that Zhu Boss' original plan was to heal his meridians and let him walk the path of a practitioner again. But now, Lin Yi's promise far exceeded his expectations. This was the first time Zhu Boss had the urge to follow Lin Yi with all his heart. Thank you, Mr. Lin. Lin Yi waved his hand. Actually, you should be able to see that I've never mistreated those who work for me wholeheartedly. Whether it's the common world House Lu, House Wu, Hidden House Han, or House Pai, they all receive benefits. I understand, don't worry, Mr. Lin. From now on, us two brothers will follow Mr. Lin everywhere. Zhu Boss said excitedly. Haha, I still have some small chi gathering pills with me. If he wants to break through to Earth class, it's not impossible. Lin Yi smiled. It depends on you two brothers' performance. I understand. Zhu Boss said excitedly. 2 flowers bloomed, one on each side. Upstairs, Ziyu put Chun-Shi on the bed, and she woke up not long after. She'd been asleep for a while now, and her stamina had long recovered. She sat up in a daze and looked around curiously, a little surprised. Why am I home? Chun-Shi rubbed her eyes to make sure she wasn't hallucinating. Ziyu sis? Are you there? You're awake? Ziyu heard Chun-Shi's voice and walked into the bedroom. Did I fall asleep? Chun-Shi looked at Ziyu suspiciously. Ziyu sis, are we at school? How come we're home so fast? I remember. Lin Yi bro came. Did we go to the school gate to look for him? Where's Lin Yi bro? Ziyu's head hurt. She looked at Chun-Shi, unable to tell her the truth. Lin Yi evidently didn't want Chun-Shi to come into contact with violence, so she could only say vaguely, it's like this, didn't we go to the school gate to look for Lin Yi bro? It wasn't Lin Yi bro, it was Chun Xiaoba in disguise. He wanted revenge, and when we opened the car door, Chun Xiaoba's lackeys knocked you out, so I fought with them. I used to be a big sister, right? I'm pretty good at dealing with gangsters like this. I see. Chun-Shi was a little shocked and disappointed that Lin didn't really come. Those people were pretty bad, weren't you? You're not hurt, are you? No, they're too weak in front of your Ziyu sis. Ziyu said, so I fought them off and saw you fainted, so I carried you home. Chapter 2564. Ziyu realized that her words weren't very realistic. It didn't make sense. She should be doing what Chun-Shi said, going back to school or the infirmary first. Why would she go home? School wasn't even over yet. But Ziyu's brain was quick. She thought of a plan right away. Yes, it's Grandpa Zhu. He was scavenging near the school, so I called him over to help. The two of us carried you back. I see. Chun-Shi nodded, believing Ziyu's words. After all, Boss Zhu often scavenged near the school, and Chunshi knew about it. Then I'll have to go thank Grandpa Zhu personally. With that, Chunshi got up to go find Boss Zhu. She was a very polite girl, and since Boss Zhu helped carry her back, she naturally wouldn't act like she didn't know. Don't go. Ziyu jumped. Boss Zhu was talking to Lin Yi downstairs. Where was Chunshi supposed to go find Boss Zhu? What's wrong? Ziyu, sis? Chunshi said, startled by Ziyu's reaction. Grandpa Zhu has a guest. Ziyu said, a guest? Chunshi was even more curious. She'd known Boss Zhu for so many years, and she never knew that he had any friends. The only guests in his house were her and her mom, right? So Chunshi subconsciously thought that her mom was at Boss Zhu's house. It's fine. Having a guest doesn't stop me from saying thanks. Ziyu, sis, I'll be going first. Ziyu saw that she was leaving and quickly pulled her back. Don't go, Grandpa Zhu isn't home. He's talking to Lin Yi downstairs. What? In her panic, Ziyu spilled the beans and brought up Lin Yi's name. Lin Yi bro's here? Downstairs? Chunshi paused and turned to Ziyu. No, I mean Grandpa Zhu is scavenging in the forest downstairs. Ziyu quickly changed her words, but the pronunciation was quite similar. Grandpa Zhu is scavenging in the forest downstairs. Chunshi's eyes widened. There's a forest downstairs? There are no forests in our district, right? That's my mistake. I meant the little garden in the district, Ziyu explained. Little garden? Chunshi was even more puzzled. There are people from a property management company cleaning the small garden every day. Where is there anything to pick up? Chunshi often went scavenging with Boss Zhu, and she knew very well whether or not they could find anything in the little garden. Ziyu's words were very strange to her. I don't know either. Ziyu was getting a headache, not expecting Chunshi to be this gullible. She wouldn't have kept a secret if she'd known earlier. She could have just said that Lin Yi was here too, and he helped her beat Qin Xiaoba away. But Ziyu didn't think about it before. She wanted to keep things simple and cover up the violence. But the lies were getting harder and harder to cover up. She had to tell 10 lies to cover up, and it was really troublesome. Ziyu couldn't cover up her own lies anymore, so she stopped. Ziyu, sis, are you hiding something from me? She was starting to get suspicious. She stood up and walked out of the room. I'll go to the balcony and see what Grandpa Zhu is doing. All right, she. Don't go. I'll tell you the truth. Ziyu saw that she was going to the balcony, and she knew that things are going to be exposed. Lin Yi's Jeep was parked downstairs, and she would definitely recognize it. Ziyu might as well just say it instead of letting she see through it herself. Ziyu, sis, you're hiding something from me? She was a bit surprised. She didn't expect Ziyu to really lie to her. Man, I'll tell you the truth. Lin Yi bro saved us. He beat Qin Xiaoba and the others away. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to beat that many people. Ziyu explained, but Lin Yi bro seemed to be looking for Grandpa Zhu, so he went to his car to talk. I was afraid that you'd be disappointed if Lin Yi bro came, so I didn't tell you. Is that so? Chunshi lowered her eyes, disappointed. It doesn't like talking to me. No, what are you thinking? Ziyu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. See, I told you not to tell you. You'd be disappointed if I did. Actually, Lin Yi bro didn't let me wake you up on purpose. He saw that you've been lacking sleep lately, so he told me to let you sleep a bit more until you wake up naturally. He really cares about you. Really? She had been going out with Zhu Lao a lot these days, and she had to do her homework when she came back, so it was true that she wasn't getting enough sleep. Lin Yi was a doctor, too, and it wasn't hard for him to see that. Of course it's true. Ziyu nodded. Plus, you don't know this whole way, but Lin Yi bro was always carrying you carefully, afraid that you'd wake up. He didn't even let us touch you. Being carried by Lin Yi bro, I'm so jealous. Chunshi's face blushed, and all the disappointment was gone. She became happy again. Then why didn't you tell me, Ziyu sis? I'm pretty happy. She's heart's moved. Ziyu teased as she looked at Chunshi's shy face. But since you're awake, and Lin Yi bro hasn't left yet, why don't you call him and ask him to come up? Ask Lin Yi bro to come up? Call me? She was a bit tempted, but she still said, "Isn't that a bad idea? Lenny Bro's already gone, and if I call him back, he's still here, isn't he? He left before because you weren't awake, and he didn't know how long you were going to sleep for, so he left first. But it's different now, you're awake." Ziyu said, "That isn't too good, right?" She was a bit embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. What's there to be embarrassed about?" Ziyu frowned. "Lil Shi, I'm telling you, Lenny Bro has a lot of beauties around him. If you don't work hard, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. I'll be blunt, but do you want to be alone like Ani for the rest of your life?" Chapter 2565. Plus, think about it. Relationships are built bit by bit. You can't just imagine it to heat up all of a sudden, can you? That's not realistic. Ziyu said, "You don't have many chances to see Lin E. Bro anymore. If you don't take advantage of the time, when will you get to see Lin E. Bro again? Every time you see Lin E. Bro, your relationship will heat up, and as time goes by, it'll happen naturally. But if you don't see him, the chance will slip away." Is that so? Chun-Shi thought about it. It did make sense. She nodded and made up her mind. Then I'll let Lenny Bro come up and sit for a while. That's right. You just need to express your gratitude. It's not a big deal. Ziyu said. Okay. Chun-Shi let out a breath of relief. Then I'll make the call now. Wait, you still need to prepare. Ziyu stopped her. Prepare? What I need to prepare? Chun-Shi looked at Ziyu strangely. Of course, I need to create a romantic atmosphere. Ziyu said. Right now, Lenny Bro probably sees you as a little girl, so I think you should change his mindset. Let him think that you're not a little girl anymore, but a young girl. How? How do I do that? Chun-Shi blushed. She was a little embarrassed, but she felt that Ziyu's words made sense. It was true that Lenny always saw her as a little girl, but Chun-Shi didn't think that way. She already liked Lenny, and she didn't want to be a little girl forever. Look at you, wearing a jacket at home. How can that show off your body? Ziyu said as she took off Chun-Shi's jacket. You need to wear less at home. If you want Lenny Bro to think that you're a young girl and not a little girl, you need to show off your body. But, isn't this a little too little? Chun-Shi took off her jacket, leaving only a small vest inside, and it was a low-cut vest. It really made her feel embarrassed. Little? That's a lot. Ziyu shook her head. No, you have to keep taking it off. Take off your bra too. What? Chun-Shi jumped, holding her chest subconsciously, stuttering. Bra off too? Yeah. You need to know what it means to be hazy. Like this, you don't wear a bra and a thin tank top. You'll look hazy and beautiful. Lenny Bro will like that for sure. Ziyu said. This? I don't think so. Chun-Shi was a very thin-skinned girl. How could she do such a bold thing? Why not? Of course. Ziyu said. You're also trying to change Lin Yi's image of his sister like this, shocking him. My sister can't be that sexy. She still couldn't make up her mind. Let's forget about the bra this time. Can we do it next time? How can we do it next time? How about this? I'll take it off too and give you a demonstration. I'll keep you company, so you won't be too lonely. With that, she took off her jacket and put her hands in her shirt, unbuttoning her bra and throwing it to the side. See, I've already demonstrated it. Why aren't you taking it off? Ziyu actually had her own plans. She didn't want to fight with Chun-Shi for anything, but it wasn't like Lin Yi only had one girlfriend, right? Chun-Shi becoming Lin Yi's girlfriend meant that she could get one free too, right? But the prerequisite was that Lin Yi had to like her before she could give it to him. Otherwise, if Chun-Shi became his girlfriend, she'd still be the sister. That'd be a tragedy. And so Ziyu decided to change Lin Yi's image of her, turning her from a little sister to a sexy beauty. Ziyu sis, you don't have to keep me company. Ziyu's sacrifice touched Chun-Shi. Ziyu was an outsider, and if she didn't, wouldn't she be letting down Ziyu's good intentions? Ziyu's heart was in her throat. With that thought, Chun-Shi gritted her teeth and threw her bra to the side. But her tank top was different from Ziyu's shirt. It was too low cut, and the slightest movement would reveal her white bunnies, making Chun-Shi very shy. This isn't good, is it? Chun-Shi looked at her chest, and then at Ziyu's. Yours is much tighter than mine. Should I change my shirt too? Change what? Ziyu said, disappointed. I'm the one who told you to show your girly side in front of Lin E, not me. What are you trying to compete with me? Chunshi thought about it. Ziyu had already demonstrated it, and if she still couldn't do it, wouldn't she be letting down Ziyu's good intentions? So she nodded, gritting her teeth. All right, I'll call Linny bro now, but perhaps out of nervousness, Chunshi used one hand to make the call and the other to hold the collar of her tank top, not letting herself be exposed. Ziyu looked at how careful Chunshi was, a little helpless. There was nothing she could do. Ziyu was satisfied that she could get this far. She'd take it slow in the future. Lin he was talking to Boss Zhu when the phone rang. Lin he looked at the caller ID. It was Chun-Chi's number. After Ziyu and Chun-Chi entered high school, Lin he bought Chun-Chi a phone as well, but she rarely used it. Lin he picked it up. Linny, bro, it's me, Chun-Chi said, a little embarrassed at what she was about to do. You're awake? Lin, he wasn't expecting her to wake up this fast. Yeah, I'm awake. Thank you, Linny, bro, for saving me and Ziyu, sis, and for bringing me home, Chun-Chi said softly. Linny, bro, did you leave? I'm still downstairs. Since you're awake, I'll go see you. Lin, he, of course, knew what she meant. He smiled and didn't say anything, asking to see Chun-Chi. Okay, I'll wait for you at home. Chun-Chi was very happy. She didn't even say anything and Linny came. Chapter 2566. All right, I'll go right now. Boss Zhu was a scavenger on the surface, but he wasn't poor at all. After a while, Boss Zhu came back with 2 bags in his hands. Linny took a look and saw that one was papaya and the other was milk. Lin, he was speechless. He was visiting 2 girls, and this was what he got. Wasn't this going to cause a misunderstanding? Lin, he was a doctor. How could he not know that papaya and milk were breast enlargement food? If he gave it to Ziyu and Chun-Chi, wouldn't they die from misunderstanding? Seeing that Lin Yi's face didn't look too good, Boss Zhu said worriedly, Mr. Lin, in the supermarket, only the papaya looks fresh. The other fruits aren't so fresh, so I bought a box of milk. Is that too little? Ugh, you don't know what these 2 things are. Lin, he looked at Boss Zhu, but an old man like him probably didn't have the time to study breast enlargements. He shook his head. It's fine, it's too little. You should at least buy something else, right? Papaya and milk. Linny would be embarrassed if he gave it to Linny, but with something else, it wouldn't be so obvious. It's night now, and there aren't any fresh fruits. The grapes aren't bad, though. Some are rotten, but some are good. Boss Zhu said, should I go pick some more? Go. Lin, he nodded. And so, Boss Zhu went to buy grapes again. This time it was a little longer, and he came back with a bag of grapes. Mr. Lin, this is all I got. Is it okay? All right, let's go. I'll go see Chun-Chi and Ziyu. You go home and rest. Lin, he locked the car and went upstairs with Boss Zhu. All right, Mr. Lin. Boss Zhu went back to his house while Lin, he went to Ziyu and Chun-Chi's room, knocking on the door. Soon, the door opened, and Ziyu was the one who opened it. Chun-Chi had her hand on her chest, and it wasn't convenient for her to open the door. Ziyu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Linny bro, you're here, Ziyu said happily when she saw Lin E. Well, since little she has woken up and I haven't left yet, I came back to take a look. Lin E nodded. I bought some fruits for you. Little she, what are you waiting for? I'll get some slippers for Linny bro. Ziyu thought of something. Wasn't Chun-Chi holding her chest? Then I won't let you cover it. He thanked me, right? Okay. Chun-Chi quickly took the 3 bags from Lin Yi's hands, but with one hand, the other still covering her chest. This made Lin E curious. What was Chun-Chi doing? But Chun-Chi was a girl, after all, and she didn't have that much strength. How could she lift 3 bags with one hand? Chun-Chi almost dropped the bags, scaring her so much that she didn't even bother covering her chest anymore. She reached out with her other hand to help. The movement was too big, and Chun-Chi's tank top couldn't cover anything anymore. 2 white rabbits jumped into Lin Yi's eyes. Lin, he felt a bit awkward and quickly looked away, wondering why Chun-Chi was wearing so little. But Lin Yi couldn't really say anything. Ziyu wasn't wearing much, and this was a house where only 2 girls lived alone. It was normal for them to wear so little. Why would she wear so much at home? Thinking about how Shu used to wear nothing, Lin Yi could understand. Coughing twice, Lin Yi put on the onesie you gave him. Chen Shi, on the other hand, managed to keep the 3 bags from falling, but she felt a chill on her chest the next second. She realized that she'd exposed herself, and when she saw the awkward look on Lin Yi's face, her face flushed red. This time, Chen Shi couldn't care less about Ziyu's plan anymore. She put down the 3 bags and rushed into the bedroom. I'll go put on some clothes. Ziyu heard that and felt helpless. She stomped her foot in disappointment, thinking that She didn't know how to cherish her. She'd finally created a chance for her, and she threw it away. Seriously, haha, it's warmer at home, and we don't usually wear much. Ziyu had no choice but to explain to Lin bro sit. Okay. Lin felt a little awkward as well. He looked at Ziyu and realized that she wasn't wearing a bra, either. It wasn't as obvious as Chun Shi's, but it was still a little visible, and it made Lin Yi's mouth go dry. It was only now that Lin Yi remembered that Ziyu wasn't a little girl anymore. From the things he found in her drawer and looking at her body today, Lin Yi suddenly realized that she was a high school girl. He treated her like a kid, but Ziyu and Chun Shi definitely weren't kids anymore. It seemed that he'd have to change the way he talked to them from now onwards. He couldn't always be like a parent, or it'd make the 2 girls a little rebellious. Ziyu noticed Lin Yi's gaze as well. She was pleasantly surprised. Was he finally paying attention to her? What do you think? I'm pretty good, right? Ahem. Ziyu, don't wear so little when I'm here next time. You guys aren't little anymore. Lin Yi coughed, breaking the awkwardness. Ziyu was about to puff her chest out and say not little anymore, but the words came out of her mouth, and she started sweating. Ziyu quickly calmed down. If she were to seduce Lin Yi here, not only would she be letting down Chen Shi in the house, but even Lin Yi would be pissed, wouldn't he? Maybe Lin Yi would beat her up and give her a bamboo shoot stir-fried meat. Ziyu thought back to how Lin Yi spanked her on the butt, and she was still a little scared. She'd been too careless. Ziyu stopped herself in time. She hadn't completely changed the little sister image in Lin Yi's heart yet, so she couldn't do anything inappropriate. But what Lin Yi said today was a good thing. She finally realized that she and Chen Shi weren't little girls anymore. Ziyu didn't want Lin Yi to see through her thoughts, so she quickly changed the topic. Lin Yi bro, any news of my brother recently? Chapter 2567. Not yet. Ziyu was a little disappointed. Then, will it be dangerous? I don't think so. You know how strong I am. Your brother's no weaker than me. Plus, he has so many teammates with him, it'll be fine. Lin Yi said. Is that so? Ziyu was confused. She remembered someone telling her that the mission was over, and her brother stayed there for a long-term surveillance mission. Why would he have a teammate? And even if it was surveillance, he could not contact his family, right? Of course. You know that you have to follow the rules when you're on a mission, and you can't contact your family. So, your brother will be back in a few years, and the mission will be complete. He'll be able to live the rest of his life with his pension. Lin Yi, naturally, didn't know that Ziyu had gotten a reply before. He was going with his own understanding. Yang Huaijuan and Armadillo were on a mission together, so there had to be a lot of teammates. Oh, Ziyu was suspicious, but she didn't ask anymore. Her brother's job was dangerous in the first place, and some things couldn't be avoided. She was coming out soon, and it wasn't good for her to ask about things that would affect the mood and atmosphere. Don't worry, Ziyu. Your brother should be contacting our people soon. I'll tell you the latest news then. Lin Yi's heart hurt a little. He could basically confirm that Armadillo had been modified into a cyborg, but he didn't know how to tell Ziyu about it. Okay. Ziyu nodded. She pushed the door open and walked out. She was wearing a loose set of pajamas, covering her small body completely. Ziyu didn't know what to say. If you're changing clothes, you should change into something more sexy, right? Why did you need a big bag? Little Shi, if studying is too tiring, then don't go scavenge. I just talked to your grandpa Zhu, and I helped him find a decent job with a high salary so he doesn't have to scavenge anymore. When the time comes, he can give you some of the money he makes. Lin Yi's words not only explained why he wanted to talk to Boss Zhu downstairs, but also solved the problem of Chun-Shi's lack of sleep. Chun-Shi blushed a little shy. She didn't expect Lin Yi to care about her so much. In order to let her study well and not miss her rest time, he specially arranged a job for Grandpa Zhu. In Chun-Shi's eyes, Grandpa Zhu was just an old man who picked up scraps. What kind of respectable job would hire him? What could he do? Lin Yi arranged a job for him, and a high salary at that. It must be to supplement his income. Thinking of this, Chun-Shi was very grateful, but also a little worried. Arranging work for Grandpa Zhu, will it be troublesome? It's not troublesome. Lin Yi smiled and said, actually, Grandpa Zhu is quite good at running errands. Ziyu covered her mouth and giggled. Evidently, Chun-Shi didn't know how good Boss Zhu was. Ziyu was shocked when she saw Boss Zhu teach Chun Bawang a lesson, but after knowing Boss Zhu's identity and that he was a master as well, and Lin Yi's follower, she wasn't too surprised anymore. Then, I'll thank Lin Yi bro on behalf of Grandpa Zhu. Chun-Shi knew that Lin Yi had already arranged everything, so she could only thank him. All right, I'll be going first. You guys rest well at home and sleep early. If you run into any trouble in the future, just find Grandpa Zhu or Zhou Ruoming, Lin Yi said, getting ready to leave. Lin Yi bro, you're leaving already? Ziyu didn't want him to leave. Lin Yi only visited once in a while. It's getting late. I'll treat you guys to a meal another day. It's almost final exams, right? I'll reward you guys if you get good grades. Lin Yi said, how good can it be? Lil, she's already first in the cohort now, so there shouldn't be any accidents during the exams. I'm a bit lacking, but I'll be able to get into the top 10. Ziyu couldn't believe that she would be able to study properly one day, getting into the top 10 in a school like Songshan's first. Yeah, just maintain this level. Lin Yi nodded. Lin Yi left their house with Ziyu and Chun-Shi sending him off. What he didn't expect was that his car was blocked by a BMW below Chun-Shi's house. Lin Yi was a bit annoyed at first, but when he saw who it was, he was overjoyed. It was Zhou Tiandi and Zhou Ruoming. Hayashi Lin. Tiandi saw Lin Yi coming downstairs and rushed out of the car. He'd received a clear signal from the Hidden House Zhuang, and they were ready to help him take over some of Sihua's businesses in Songshan, officially becoming the representative of the Hidden House Zhuang. At first, Tiandi was a bit confused. He couldn't believe that he'd be hit by such a huge pie. The Hidden House Zhuang was a powerful existence, and didn't they have Chun Bo-Wang as their representative in the city? Why were they suddenly invading Songshan? Plus, wasn't Songshan the territory of the Hidden House Zhuang's representative, Sihua? What would Sihua do now that they were here? But the Hidden House Zhuang's next sentence put Tiandi at ease. Zhuang Miaoqiang clearly told him that the Hidden House Zhuang was working for Lin Yi now, and so Tiandi was pumped up as he asked for Boss Zhu's number and learned where Lin Yi was. He quickly brought Zhou Ruoming over to thank Lin Yi for coming. Why are you guys here? Lin Yi was a bit surprised. Why were these two here? It was normal for them to know Chun-Shi's address, since they always protected Ziyu and Chun-Shi in the dark. But how did they know he was here? Hayashi Lin. The Hidden House Zhuang told me to be their representative. I got your news from Mr. Zhu, so I came over to thank you immediately, Tiandi said passionately. Chapter 2568. I understand. I'll take care of the nightclub and entertainment business. I won't do anything like that again. Tiandi treated Lin Yi's words like an imperial edict. Whatever Lin Yi told him to do, he'd do it. He quickly made his promise. And that's good. All right, I'm going back to Donghai now. You guys go do what you need to do. Lin Yi looked at Ruoming. Don't just mess around in school. Learn some knowledge. You'll be able to take over your father's business in the future. You can't be a fourth-year student your whole life, can you? Okay, Hayashi Lin. Zhou Ruoming replied, awkwardly. Lin Yi got in the car, and Tiandi and his son got in as well. The two cars left the neighborhood one after the other, heading in two different directions. At Chun-Shi and Ing Ziyu's house, Chun-Shi covered her face with her hands, embarrassed as she sat on the sofa. Ziyu sis, did I embarrass myself today? Will any bro think that I'm a casual girl? How could he? Ziyu looked at Chun-Chi's shy face and comforted her. This is our own home. Even if we don't wear anything, it's fine. Don't worry, big bro Lin, you won't think too much about it. Ah, that's good. Chun-Chi breathed out in relief. It's not that I want to criticize you, but look at what you've done. I wanted to create a chance for you, but you went back to your room to change, leaving me alone in the living room with Lenny bro. Are you creating a chance for me, or you? Ziyu asked. Ziyu sis, I'm sorry, I've let you down. She lowered her head weakly. Forget it. Ziyu looked at that guilty look on Chun-Chi's face, feeling a little guilty as well. She was helping Xiao get Lenny, and now she was thinking about doing something with Lenny. Did that count as letting Xiao down? I'll definitely work harder next time. Chun-Chi saw that Ziyu's face wasn't quite right, and thought that Ziyu was angry at her for not working hard enough. All right, let's see what Lenny bro got us. Ziyu didn't want to talk about this anymore. She didn't want to spill the beans. And she remembered that she put aside the gift that Lenny brought, so the two of them ran over to see the gift that Lin brought for them. Why were they papayas and milk? This is breast enhancement food. Ziyu was a bit surprised to see the papaya and milk in the bag. Isn't this a little intimate? Is big brother Lin hinting at something? How is this possible? Sis Ziyu, aren't you thinking too much? Aren't there other things? These are grapes. Chun-Chi blushed as she opened the other bag and said, I bought them together. It shouldn't be what you think. Why not? Ziyu's eyes started looking at Chun-Chi's chest, a smile that wasn't a smile. I think these papaya and milk are for you. It seems like Lenny bro isn't neglecting you. He wants you to grow up. It can't be like that. Chun-Chi was a bit shy, but more than that, she was pleasantly surprised. Did Lenny bro really think that way? Was he really hinting at her? But did he think that her chest was too small and like girls with big breasts? Look, these are grapes. This confirms my guess even more. Ziyu pointed at the bag of grapes. Usually in novels, there'd be some obscure descriptions, like eating grapes or something. It's the grape on a girl's chest, so this hint is so obvious. I don't believe that the person who bought these didn't have any ulterior motives. Then, Chun-Chi was starting to believe Ziyu's words. Look, these grapes are so small. Lenny bro must be hinting that your little white rabbit is too small, and that you should eat some papaya and milk to nourish yourself. Ziyu analyzed. I see. Chun-Chi blushed a bit shyly. Then, I'll eat them later. Okay, let's eat them together. Ziyu nodded. Ziyu sis, you're a big girl already, aren't you? Chun-Chi looked at Ziyu curiously. What do you know? Lenny bro has a milk cow sis. I'm still far from that. Ziyu said casually. But I'm the one who's better than him. What's the point of you surpassing him? Chun-Chi was even more confused. Ziyu felt that this was bad. Why was she always so careless with her mouth? She accidentally said the truth again and quickly explained, I'm giving you a goal, aren't I? With me as a role model to push you to catch up, you'll have motivation. Where would you get motivation without comparison? I'm sacrificing myself for you. Ziyu sis, you're so great. The pure Chun-Chi said, touched. It's all right. Ziyu said, a bit ashamed. In the East sect, Pin Liang and Xiaofu were carefully kneeling in front of the pure young master, while Naipeo was kneeling behind the master. What? You're saying that Lin Yi's already a sky class? That fast? Pure Yang Sky Venerate was in disbelief after hearing Pin Liang's story. How is that possible? What kind of insane speed was Lin leveling up? He wasn't practicing some demonic arts, so how could he just jump up so many levels? He had been at the peak of mid-earth rank before, but he skipped 2 ranks in one go and directly went to the heaven rank. Did he eat a bunch of chi gathering pills? That didn't seem realistic. It's not just Lin. Zhao Qibing has become a sky class as well. With that, Pin Liang told them about how he met Zhao Qibing and got beaten up. Chapter 2569. This was no longer as simple as being unrealistic. It was simply something that was impossible to happen. Liang bro, Could it be that there's something wrong with your mid-tier golden cicada underwear? Naipeo asked calmly after some thought. My underwear? I also suspected that the golden cicada's underwear was malfunctioning, but I found Tiger Right and his men hiding in House U to check. My underwear isn't malfunctioning, Pinliang said. Oh, take off your underwear, I'll check it, Pure Yang said, thinking that there might be something wrong with the underwear. Yes. Pinliang quickly took off his underwear and handed it to Pure Yang respectfully. Oh, this isn't mid-tier golden cicada underwear. Pure Yang looked at the golden cicada undergarment in his hands, and his expression changed. Zhong Pingliang couldn't see it, but he could see the problem with one look. Not mid-tier golden cicada underwear. Pinliang paused and looked at Pure Yang suspiciously. Master, isn't this the mid-tier golden cicada underwear I wore before? Could it be that the underwear is automatically downgraded? It's not automatically downgraded. It's your underwear that was swapped. Pure Yang pointed at the underwear in his hand. This is a low-tier golden cicada underwear. It looks similar to the mid-tier one, but I can tell the difference. This low-tier golden cicada underwear can defend against attacks from masters below Earth class, but it's useless against masters above Earth class. You can defend against Right Coiling Tiger and his men, but you can't defend against Lin, Yi, and Zhao Qibing. That Zhao Qibing must have suddenly leveled up to Earth class. What? Someone swapped it? How is that possible? Pinliang was shocked. I've been wearing this underwear all this time. How could it have been swapped? Gah! Pinliang suddenly remembered something. He had never worn this underwear before, and that was when he went to Meng Yao and Yushu's room. He took a shower there, and didn't the underwear malfunction on the second day? Yushu, it must be her, this little devil. It must be her, she swapped my underwear. Pinliang finally understood why Yushu, who'd always been on the opposite side of him, was suddenly on his side. He'd been quite happy at first, but now it seemed like Yushu had set him up on purpose to trade his mid-level golden cicada underwear. Pinliang recalled Meng Yao's sudden cold, the tub of dirty water in front of their dorm, and Meng Yao's sudden concern. He understood that he'd been tricked again. These two girls were still on Lin Yi's side, secretly swapping his mid-level golden cicada underwear for Lin Yi. Brother Liang, shall we go back and settle the score with her? Gao Xiaofu was infuriated when he heard that. In fact, he had said that to absolve Zhong Pingliang and avoid heavenly venerate Pure Yang's wrath. There's no need to be in such a hurry to settle the score. Heavenly venerate Pure Yang waved his hand and threw the low-tier golden cicada underwear to the side. He said faintly, "We'll definitely get it back, but if you go there like this, what else can you get out of it other than a beating?" Pinliang and Xiaofu looked at each other, silent. That was right. Going back to Lin Yi now for the mid-tier golden cicada underwear. Let's not talk about whether Lin Yi would admit it or not. Even if he did, he could still get back to him. Master, since the underwear was swapped, it means that Lin Yi isn't a sky class. He must be an earth class. Let your disciple and Liang Bro go down the mountain and get it back. Okay? Naipeo was still loyal to Pinliang. Heavenly venerate Pure Yang frowned. He only took Pinliang in as a disciple because Naipeo was his beloved disciple. He didn't have any respect for Pinliang at all, and seeing that Naipeo was going to help Pinliang, he wasn't too happy. He said faintly, "Right now is an important time for you to complete the second stage of the Chrysanthemum Arts. Don't get distracted by other things." "Yes, master." Naipeo quickly bowed and retreated. Thinking about it, he was indeed too impulsive, going after Lin Yi without completing the second stage. What if he wasn't a match for Lin Yi? All right, Zhong Pingliang, don't blame yourself too much. It's just a mid-tier golden cicada underwear. You'll get it back sooner or later. Heavenly venerate Pure Yang didn't really care much about underwear. It was gone, so be it. For the sake of his beloved disciple, Pure Yang waved his hand. You can leave for now. I'll think of a way for you to get it back yourself. Thank you, master. Pinliang was overjoyed. To be honest, if he could get it back himself, he'd rather do it himself instead of letting Naipeo do it. He thought that Heavenly Venerate Pure Yang wanted him to get up from where he fell, but the truth was that he didn't want him to delay Naipeo's training. As for Pinliang, Pure Yang was getting annoyed. He was just a normal person, and if it weren't for the fact that Naipeo respected his boss, he would have sent him flying with a kick already. Fatty Lai had run into a troublesome matter the past few days, and it could be said to be a huge problem. Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company's reputation was rising, and they had recently expanded their factory, increasing their production capacity by quite a bit. Their products were already sold overseas, and the supply couldn't meet the demand. This time, Fatty Lai was going overseas to expand the market in a small country. Since Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company had a good reputation, all of their products were exempted from customs inspection. Fatty Lai was planning to adjust to the time difference after arriving in this small country before meeting the biggest medical company in the country. But an uninvited guest came knocking on his door not long after he arrived at the hotel. And beside this uninvited guest was the medicine merchant who invited Fatty Lai to this small country. Visiting late at night was a little weird, but Fatty Lai didn't think much about it. He thought that these two people couldn't wait to welcome him, so he invited them in warmly. "Mr. Lai, let me introduce myself. My name is Military Counselor Zhuge, and my nickname is Military Counselor. Of course, you can also think of it as a bandit's nickname," the stranger who came into the room with the medicine merchant suddenly said. This situation surprised Fatty Lai. This person was obviously the host and guest. Chapter 2570. Judging from the expression on the pharmaceutical merchant's face, it seemed that everything was reasonable. He stood respectfully behind Zhuge Liang. "Oh, nice to meet you, Mr. Zhuge." Fatty Lai was a businessman who'd been through a lot. He felt it was strange, but he still greeted Zhuge politely. Fatty Lai's words, however, hinted at a question. It was the first time they'd met. "What business do you have here?" "Haha, Mr. Lai. You must be very confused right now. Why am I here?" Military Counselor Zhuge smiled and said, "Now, I can reveal the answer to your question." "Oh, please enlighten me, Mr. Zhuge." Fatty Lai frowned slightly. This strategist Zhuge didn't seem like he came with good intentions. Otherwise, he wouldn't have spoken so arrogantly. It seemed like there was a problem with this cooperation. "Actually, I'm the one who wants to cooperate with Mr. Lai. This is our organization's representative in this small country." Strategist Zhuge smiled and said to Fatty Lai, "Oh, so Mr. Zhuge is the boss behind the scenes?" Fatty Lai was shocked, but he pretended to be calm and asked, "Then, why did you want to cooperate with me, Mr. Zhuge? Is it to sell our company's drugs?" "Drugs?" Strategist Zhuge smiled faintly. "The profits from drugs aren't low, but we don't care about it. We want to cooperate with you, not to sell drugs, but to sell drugs." "What?" Fatty Lai was shocked. His face finally changed. "Mr. Zhuge, you're not joking, right? I'm a serious businessman. This joke isn't funny." "Who's joking with you?" Military Counselor Zhuge's tone also changed from a smiling tiger to a domineering wolf. "To tell you the truth, you've already boarded our pirate ship. You have to do it whether you want to or not. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude to you." "You?" Fatty Lai's face turned ugly. "It's illegal to sell drugs. I don't know if it's legal in this small country, but it's not allowed in my country. I won't cooperate with you." "Haha, you won't cooperate? You think I won't cooperate just because you said so?" Strategist Zhuge looked at Fatty Lai with a faint smile. "Could it be that you want to force us? We're all businessmen here, and we shouldn't interfere with each other's business. If we can't make a deal, then I'll have to call the police." Fatty Lai's tone turned very unpleasant. "Call the police? Sure, why don't you give it a try? I'm not afraid to tell you that I've already brought some drugs into this batch of drugs. You can try calling the police and see if you'll be implicated." Strategist Zhuge said fearlessly, "I know what you're thinking. You'll say that you don't know and that it was us who did it. It doesn't matter. As long as this matter is exposed, the reputation of your Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company will be ruined. I'll even find someone to make your company look like a drug company. Your painkillers and other medicines are only effective because of drugs." You. Fatty Lai's face turned green with anger. Indeed, just as strategist Juga said, even if this had nothing to do with him after the investigation, if these people were determined to mess with his company, they might start spreading rumors and smearing his company's name before the investigation was over. That would cause his company's reputation to plummet. It'd be like having mud in your pants. Even if it wasn't shit, it'd still be shit. What about me? Do you think that working with us is the best way out? Don't worry. We don't need you to do anything. What we want is the exemption, right of your company, for the export of drugs. As long as you let us have a share of the profits when you export and import drugs, you can sit on the ground and collect money. This is a win-win situation. Why not? Strategist Juga started to describe the benefits of cooperation again after giving them a carrot. Your headquarters is in the country? Fatty Lai calmed down and asked after some hesitation. It's a branch in the country. I'm the person in charge of the branch. I'm only in charge of the business around here. Of course, it's not impossible for Mr. Lai to expand the business. I'll help you, strategist Juga said. How much profit can we make in a year? Fatty Lai thought for a while and asked, if you cooperate with us fully, we can guarantee you at least 5 billion in profit. Strategist Juga smiled and said, take note, the unit is in USD. What? 5 billion USD? Even Fatty Lai's eyes widened in shock. No wonder the richest people in the world were the invisible drug dealers. It seemed like this saying was true. If he could get 5 billion USD as a company that shared the loot, how much could they make? Wasn't it an astronomical figure? Are you tempted? Strategist Juga looked at Fatty Lai's expression and felt that his threats and promises were working. First, he scared Fatty Lai. Then he promised huge profits. He didn't believe that Fatty Lai wouldn't be tempted. Phew. To be honest, I'm very tempted. Fatty Lai wasn't tempted. He was just shocked. But at this moment, he had to pretend to be interested and talk to strategist Juga. Otherwise, after today, Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company would be infamous for being involved in drug trafficking. It would be a fatal blow to the company's reputation. Drugs were used to harm people. The contrast between the two would definitely cause the company's reputation to plummet. Personally? What do you mean? Strategist Juga was stunned. You should know that the company doesn't belong to me alone. I have some partners. So, I can't make the decision myself. Even if you threaten me, I can't make the decision now, Fatty Lai said. Fatty Lai said, of course, I'm personally leaning towards working with strategist Juga. After all, it's too fast to earn money. But I need to convince my partners first. Your partner? Oh, that's fine. Make a call and ask your partner to come here. I'll talk to him personally. Strategist Juga wasn't in a hurry. As long as Fatty Lai's side was settled, it would be half a success. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.